Good evening, all. Welcome to Community Board 11 Youth and Education meeting. It's March 10th, 2026. The time is 6:35, and we will begin the meeting. We will go over some ground rules. No one must speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participant's icon and you will find the raise hand function there. Members should not engage in back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat should not be used to discuss, pose questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on the topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subject on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. No, it's not the time. Sorry.
I didn't get that.
It's okay. Now we'll do a roll call to order.
Fernando Alvarez. Absent. David Giordano.
Present.
John Green. Is absent. Kira Jerez Olson. Present. James Kemp. Absent. Malik McCullough is absent. Jennifer Meyer. Present. Jessica Morris.
Excuse.
Tanya Phelps.
Present.
Ashley Rodriguez.
Present.
Russell Schuler.
Present.
And Loretta So.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We also joined by Marlene Pierre, the District Assistant Manager for CB11.
I'm the community associate.
Community Associate, I'm
I
sorry.
don't want to offend.
Don't want to give you any more
Police
responsibility.
or Angel.
We'll take a moment to do the adoption of the agenda. If there are no objections, the agenda will be so adopted. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Adoption of the February minutes. If anybody's had any option to review the minutes, please. If there are any objections to the minutes, is there an objection?
No, there's a correction in spelling of my name.
Please correct spelling of Russell's name. What is?
Russell with one L, Schuler with no C.
Thank you. We'll make that note. Thank you, Marlene.
Oh, sorry, let me go back. I'm sorry. Just for everybody in the room, board chair is present. Also, Vice Chair Jose Altamirano is present for this meeting. Just to put it on the record.
Next, announcements. Are there any announcements? Hi. Ashley Rodriguez.
So the city council is currently holding their budget hearings, and the education one got rescheduled to March 23rd, which is a Monday. It was originally March 18th. It's at 9 a.m. So
So if anybody's interested in giving testimony, we'll be discussing a little bit of that later when we talk about the district needs. Yes, Molly. I'm sorry.
Are you gonna read this entire agenda into the record to take down the slide?
Oh, is that what we're supposed to do now?
I'm
sorry. I'm not-
asking how you want to move.
So what we are supposed to do now is to read the entire agenda so that it is put into record. Call to order, roll call, adoption of the agenda, adoption of the February 2026 minutes, announcements, 3 minutes each, informational updates, city agency partners, DOE, CEC4, CEC5, and the district attorney's office. Any other youth education advocacy groups are welcome to also give an update. There will be presentations and discussions, informal presentation, a request for a letter of acknowledgement for the expansion of the Harlem Little League Girls Softball Program. The initiative is on. B, committee review of the preliminary budget documents and preparation of comments to be submitted to the district needs committee for inclusion in the board's written response to the mayor. Old business. Under old business, continued discussion on the new athletics facility of the Nightingale Bamford School will be built on 108th Street. New business, 10 roll call, and then adjournments. Is that correct, Maureen? Sorry. Thank you, and now we will begin. Announcements. Asha? You have your announcement. Any other announcements? Okay, we will move to the agenda items with our presentations by city agencies. Dr. Dela Cruz. Hi, Dr. Christie, how are you?
Yes, yes. Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's such an honor to be here, and I want to thank everyone who's there in person. And I see some of our amazing, see our principal and educator and some of our youth from Isaac Newton. So glad to see you. And I just want to thank everyone for being here. Yesterday, we had an amazing Civics for All kickoff. It is Civics for All week across the entire New York City public schools, and we were honored to have it hosted in our Tito Puente Educational Complex. And I want to thank the community board. I see Kiara was there. Thank you. And also a key person in planning it was our CEC. So I want to thank our CEC members and especially Dr. Calera Salas Ramirez for being a part of the planning committee. And one of the highlights, of course, our students are always the highlight. I just want all of our young people to know that like everything we do is in service of our children. But we were beyond thrilled to have Mickey Melendez, one of the members of the Young Lords, be on a panel that was facilitated by our School of Authors. And one quote that Mickey shared that resonates with me is, if you know your history, then people cannot lie to you. And also the importance of the collective. And so those were like two nuggets that like I am keeping with me as we propel through the week, but it was a great way to highlight all 23 of our schools. So I just want to name that all 23 of our schools created a participatory budget proposal. Really proud of that. It's only year 2. And next year, we're going to have more of the soapbox, which is really where our young people will practice their public speaking around social issues that matter to them. And so through this lens of social justice, we are continuing the work of lifting and elevating, and getting our community to know more about Community Board 11 is one of those priorities too. So thank you to the Community Board 11. And I know James Kemp was there, and a lot of our Community Board, Rosa Diaz, and a lot of our Community Board 11 members were there. So I just really want to thank the Community Board for always supporting our district and community. Tomorrow, which I know we have the CEC here, so this is like our lucky week. We actually had Chancellor Kamar Samuels here on Monday, and we're going to see him again tomorrow. And then if that doesn't work for you, the chancellor's also having conversations with the chancellor throughout the entire city. There's one during the week. There's always one on the weekend. On Saturdays, it's all throughout the 5 boroughs. So just know that if these dates don't work for you, feel free to join one of those sessions. And those are some of the main things. It is March. We do have parent-teacher conferences occurring, depending on the grade band. Please continue to ask questions. Everyone who's here, it's always about our young people and how we can best lift and elevate the brilliance that they already have. We are deeply committed to bringing out that brilliance and letting it shine. So thank you to everyone. And I don't know, I will be on for a little bit, and I'll put my email and phone number in the chat. But just really want to thank everyone for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Christie, and we're looking forward tomorrow to the meeting with the Chancellor. I will be there. I know a couple of board members have already expressed that they will be joining as well. Please try to make the CEC meeting. Again, it's our new Chancellor, and he's coming to the district to speak to us about his vision for the education for our youth. Next, we'll have CEC 4, Caleras. I see you over there, Caleras. How are you today?
I am well, thank you. Hi, everybody. Kalidi, she, her, ella, current president of CEC4. Excited to welcome you tomorrow. If you want to come a little earlier, we are going to be having some light refreshments around 5:30 in the gym at the Tito Puente complex. Happy to host you so you could meet some of our principals and our other parent leaders in the space. Florin, that means that you should be there too. We'll be having some music. We are going to ask the chancellor to shake his hips a little bit before he goes into what we hope will be a very deeply meaningful town hall. So we released a survey early on to our parent body and asked what their top issues were. A lot of them expressed that funding for schools is important, parent empowerment, social emotional learning and mental health after school programs, culturally responsive education. These are all things that are coming up for our parents. And so you will see that our questions were tailored around what our parent community is going to be like, is going to want to ask. We are hopefully creating that space. Then we'll have a meeting right after. We have 3 resolutions on docket. One, to address some of the systemic racism that our school communities have been experiencing. I'm not going to take space for this, but in District 3, there have been some really tense moments in the last couple of months, particularly a hot mic moment that was on the national news where a white woman who was professor at Hunter College basically said Black kids don't understand when they're getting a bad education. So we're taking the opportunity to address some of the policy issues that could change in order to, one, protect parents and students from racist language at meetings, but also what's some of the work that can be done within our schools. So re-implementing equity councils in our schools to address some of these concerns, mandating anti-bias training for teachers and parent leaders. Because we do have some people that are coming into this space and just causing deep harm to our communities. And so we want our chancellor to address that. We also have a resolution on admonishing the R word for our kids, to address our kids with disabilities. It's been mentioned by several parent leaders and also by a PEP member recently. And then we have a resolution on foundation aid. So we know that the state is also deciding on how our schools are being funded. And so we believe that the general mass index is incredibly important to integrate into foundation aid, as well as differentiating for students with disabilities and students that live below the line of poverty. So while we will be focusing a lot of our time on the chancellor, we do have some beefy, important things to discuss in our meeting. And so we're hoping that Kiera will bring along our resolutions to you so that we can continue to partner in the space together and continue to address the needs of our school communities. Thank you.
That's right, you are officially a CC member now? Oh, good, so that in the next committee, you can present the resolutions that me and Calaris talked about going forward.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We will continue, are there any questions for Dr. Calaris? Again, please try to make the town hall tomorrow with the chancellor. It's really important to show community support and that we are here for our children. As we continue on with the agenda, the district, is there anybody from the district attorney's office here from the community affairs? They're not here tonight. Okay, so they're not here. We will continue with the regular agenda. So we have are there any CC5 members available tonight? None present? We will bring you back next month. Thank you. So we will move to the presence. Any other youth groups here? Any other youth group? I know we have you as part of the presentation after. So we will just continue. We have an informational presentation, a request for a letter of acknowledgement for the expansion of the Harlem Little League Girls Softball Program. The initiative is designed to provide girls with a greater access to organized sports, promote physical activity, build confidence and leadership skills, and create positive, structured opportunities for youth development. Is there somebody here from the Little League? Online? Who is supposed to come? Do we know?
Elijah Brooks.
Okay, well, we'll reach out to Ms. Brooks, maybe she'll show up. If not, we will continue. Any objections? Okay. So the committee review of the preliminary budget of documents in preparation for comments to be submitted to the District Needs and Budget Committee for inclusion in the board's written response to the mayor. So we're one of the last committees to meet, so we don't have much time. We did send them out ahead of time. I know Angel sent them out, Marlene sent them out. And I sent them out again yesterday, highlighting the ones that are focused on this committee that we have made priorities on. So we need to take a moment, look at them, and then have some discussion. Dr. Christie is still on, which is good, because if we go through them first, they are the capital ones, and they're the DOE capital. I did have some discussion with Dr. Christie today, just better understand how we best advocate, and try to figure out where things get stuck and how we can better advocate to move them forward. So there are two capital projects that with DOE for this committee. One is to renovate the interior building component, and that is specifically to complete the renovations of the bathrooms at PS 72. Unfortunately, the agency supports but cannot accommodate. There is no funding for the project. There is a Reso A bathroom project in construction, which means we need to find the money, in short, to pay for this. There is no funding for it. The project is approved to be done. About 3-4 years ago, the larger bathrooms in the school were done, but they were only the ones in the cafeteria on the main floor. No other bathrooms throughout the building have been renovated. These are old bathrooms. Again, I don't want to get into the particulars of everything, but because we only have two projects, you know, there are such great needs, and with all disclosure, Asha, Fernando Alvarez all work at PS 72, and we welcome you to come visit, but we can also testify the needs of the building go beyond just the bathrooms. This is a school that functions also as a summer rising school and a feeder school, and yet we do not have air conditioning in the bathrooms, in the cafeteria or auditorium. And those are all other equal needs in this community. And every time I speak with Dr. Christian, she highlights PS 72 as probably being one of the most in need, as we have many old buildings in this school. So, Alvarez, if you look what I sent out last night, it's a little easier to go through. So what we have to do is respond to the city with this. And we have to come up with comments. And then we have to agree on what those comments are and submit it to the District and Budget Needs Committee by Friday, the latest. So those things can be worked on by the Budget Needs Committee and in preparation for full board on Tuesday. So I did want to get some background information and understanding the whole resume, because I look at it like this is a project ready to go, except there's no money. And there's no funding available. And however we best need to respond to this is an essential need. This is a building that's overutilized all year long, has more students in the summer than it has during the school year, and needs to have facilities that are capable of managing the number of people in the building.
The handle really fell off.
It happens. So again, the other capital project for this is, and these are the responses we have to come up with the city. Is everybody clear what our role is in this? No. So we take what the city gives us here, and then we have a response to the mayor's response. So basically the mayor said, yeah, we support this, but we cannot accommodate it. And we cannot accommodate it because there is no funding for it, even though it's a Reso A project in the works. Meaning when there is money for it, it will get done. When School Construction Authority provides it as a priority. So again, this is where we need to, as Asha said, they've changed the DOE day for giving testimony, is where we need to go and advocate and speak to how important this is in our community. And this is just one of many schools in this condition in this community. Any comments, any thoughts? Yes, Christine, you are a member of the committee.
I'm just a little bit curious, right? If this school is in such need and the city is not going to fund it through the Reso-A, what schools are being funded through Reso-A? Because Reso-A is supposed to have money to fund needed projects in the districts, right? So who's getting funded? What are the projects that are being funded? And how are they rated? Like, are they rated on some scale in order of priority?
So
or-
what we can do, and it's really a longer conversation than we can have today, is invite school construction to come back in. And they go on a 5-year cycle, in short, of how they prioritize projects. So each year it starts a new 5-year cycle. So you may have something that might have been a priority, but there were other priorities that came ahead of that priority and pushed that back. So even the school that we're at, 72, is supposed to have the roof done and the school closed. But because of the overutilization of the school, they haven't been able to complete that work. And that's because other schools in the district are still having their own construction going on, so that we can't move to that school during the summer. Am I right, Dr. Christie? I mean, we have a lot of construction, like 108 was
Yep.
supposed to.
Yes, thank you. And it is site specific. So there's two entities that everyone should know about, which is the Department of School Facilities and then the School Construction Authority. And then the Reso-A grants, what tends to happen is there's a proposal with funding, right? And sometimes that funding is not enough or it's insufficient, depending on the project. 72, as David said, has been something that I want to say that our previous CEC, the previous community board, for years, at least since I've been here since 2020, we have prioritized and requested from bathrooms to AC and public spaces, because it's our only summer rising site that does not have any of the public spaces air conditioned. But regarding the money and the funding, it is an ongoing issue. And I will say this is a question that's going to come up tomorrow, more than likely, because it comes up all the time with our CEC and just the facilities. So I have already lifted this up. What happens? I could go on and on about different sites where we'll have a site where we'll receive money for air conditioning, just using this as an example, and it'll end up not being enough money, so we can only do one space and one space at a time. So a lot of times we will start these projects and then we run out of funding. The playground across from 182, we got some funding, but it needed more. We got over like 182,000. And so these are like multi-year projects. And what tends to happen is over the years, there's like additional cost, and it's very complicated. But I will say that accessibility is another issue that comes up, and I just want to name, because I know Manhattan East has been here, that there's a whole accessibility team. By law, every year we have to identify 10%, which is either 1 to 2 schools. Right now, we have 57 that's been in construction for over 5 years, still not done. PSMS 57. We have 112 and 206 that started a couple of years now. This will be year 2. And we also have 155 and 377. Those are co-located. That's under construction. And then we have 108 is the next site that has been designated as the next accessibility or elevator project. And they are looking at needs, numbers, like 108 it's co-located with the D75 program, the number of children, and just the severity of needs in a building. So I don't know if that answered some of your question, David, but it is very complicated. It is site by site. it is, we can't just make it, it really is site specific and depends. Like I can tell you with MS 57, when they were digging in the ground for the elevator, other things came up. And so it was like unexpected expenses, which have also impacted it taking longer. We also have to follow guidelines. So a lot of times people say, well, why can't we buy the air conditioners? Well, there's a lot of legality and liability issues to where we have to make sure that everything meets codes within our buildings. And they've also stopped, which I'm glad that everyone's here. It used to be some of our principals could buy air conditioners through the money market, but they put a pause on that. They stopped it. And I will say that then the custodians weren't allowed to put it in for liability. So it almost cost as much money to pay for installation as it did for the air conditioners. So there's a lot of nuances with all of these things. On a positive, I will say that we've had quite a few cafeteria enhancement projects, which has been a great thing because when you do a cafeteria enhancement project, then you get AC in the cafeteria. So, but they prioritized a lot of our high school settings for that. So like Isaac Newton has that. Tito Puente, we were able to do the cafeteria enhancement. We were able to do 007 recently. So at least they have one public space that has AC, which makes it helpful. But as a community, we understand that you're dealing with the whole city and there's needs across the entire city. And so we've always tried to prioritize our summer rising sites and our sites with the most people.
And you know, it's funny
And
because
Caleris, I see Caleris has something. Caleris, what am I forgetting?
Well, so I think the question was around the Reso A's too. So
Oh.
Reso A's are principals
Smaller.
apply for that.
Yeah.
And you can apply for that through the city council person's office and through the borough president's office. And so depending who the legislator is, they're actually savvy at dividing the money or not so savvy. So
Yep.
Gail Brewer was amazing. She was able to Reso A grants were distributed quite equitably across the city. Mark Levine wasn't as savvy and focused on some particular projects. So it is, again, really dependent on the legislator and what they know in terms of how they navigate the money and how much money they get. But, we have to keep on advocating that money gets to our schools. That's all I wanted to
then
add.
that's what we have to do. See, we have to go to our elected officials and say, this needs to be done. And it wasn't enough when they did partial of it. But this is the other crux of all, as Dr. Christie said. Let's say you get all the money for the air conditioners and they're ready and they meet the code. We don't have the capability of electricity to serve the
Technical, yeah.
or computers. We've had at times where computers can't be used in a room because they keep, knocking the fuse out in the room because of the old wiring. And when wiring goes out in an old building like that, you're searching which fuse is the one. It's not all marked. So, that leads us to the next capital request, and it's for wiring. And again, they got the equipment, but they can't run the equipment because they don't have the infrastructure of the electricity to handle the new equipment. And so again, these are things that we need to really get into and advocate for, and there is no funding for that. So what you're saying is basically that particular school at this time cannot be upgraded to handle air conditions and computers that kids need in today's educational world. So are there any, I'm gonna move on, because what we're gonna ask is, are there any comments to these? We have a statement, it will go out to the committee, you will add to it or edit it, or we miss something, but we're going to address these particular issues. And then we're gonna write the document and do the district needs, and then look for people to go and testify. Go talk in front of other people and say how important this is. Those people that make the decisions. That's what we're lacking and need to do more, both this committee and the board. So, yeah, Asher.
There's a lot of new people in our city government, a lot of new people in city council. It's a new chair of education, it's a new mayor, it's a new city council speaker. So now's an opportunity for us to speak to all these new people and see if we could change some of the stuff that was happening in the past.
So, and looking at the budget expense needs, these are for services or for goods that we ask for. It gets very discouraging because there is really no, there's like nothing that we've asked for that has been addressed or needed, and yet we know that these are really needs in our schools, particularly around assign more non-teaching staff to provide social health and other services, other educational programming, expansion funding to ensure equitable access to educational opportunities for students with disabilities. And there are many children with disabilities in our community. And I'm just gonna go through them quick because they're very similar. We asked for the Department of Ed to fund many different supportive roles and positions that are needed for youth development. And for us to think that the educational skills of a kid is gonna be advanced when the social emotional is not right, then we're all deluding ourselves to something that's an unreality. And those of us working in schools see the impact, not just on the kid that's experiencing the social emotional, but the other kids that are in the class also, because they all witness and are experiencing maybe what's going on through a traumatic experience. So as we continue to ask for, assign more non-teaching staff to provide social health and other services, to provide non-teaching staff. Again, we need other paraprofessionals in the schools to help support the holistic educational approach to children. And all these responses from the city are the exact same. Agency does not support and cannot accommodate. Agency does not support and cannot accommodate. Please contact the agency directly. So they want us to contact the people who are telling us now they can't accommodate us, right? And that's another piece we need to do. And I think we failed to bring them enough to the table to sit in this table with us and have that discussion. We need to invite School Construction Authority to explain why these two projects can't go through. We need to address these issues around the services that are needed in schools. Yes, Christine.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah, I don't want to preach. So.
I know, it's okay. Okay, so you keep talking about Reso A funds, right? We know that Reso A.
No, we.
I know, wait.
No, let's
Because
get that.
no, but you didn't answer my question before, that's the problem, okay?
I may not have the answer.
I know, but let me answer it.
Okay.
Thank you. So Reso A comes from the mayor's office, right? Have any of you reached out to your elected officials with discretionary funds that could help to support a Reso A in order for you to get the funding
So
that you need?
just on base of what I learned today,
Mhm.
my first thing is to go find out where the funding came from for the other bathrooms that did get fixed, because this is part of that project. And what's interesting, they still have bathroom 207 on here, but bathroom in 207 was fixed, that's in the principal's office. So that all money came from the same thing.
Right.
What I wanna do, because we have a new principal who may not know where this originated from, is to go back and try to find wherever Dr. Hernandez had got or put in to get some of that money, reach out to say, hey, it wasn't enough, can we get more? You funded the project. And if not, then go to the elected officials and start hitting them all up. Gibbs, Elsie, everybody. Serrano, let's go. Because again, these are our kids and this is our future. And I tell you, to be in that school that year, we loved them fixing up the bathrooms. But do you know what it was to use? So the bathrooms have stairs or 2 stalls. It's not like it's a bathroom that 7 kids can go in. It's 2 stalls. All right? So with that, we need to know where we need to go advocate from. We're moving on to the expense because we need to get through this. Again, yes.
Just quickly, if the agencies are telling us to reach out to them directly, and not just this committee, I'll be sending an email to all the committee chairs, reach out to them. Because if we don't, then they're gonna say we told you to. So reach out to them, invite them to the next meeting. We'll get the electeds to come in. I see some of their offices are online, and let's just put them at the table.
No, I think we need to know. We need to understand with School Construction Authority, where is the priority of 72 or the other projects here with the electricity in the other school? Equally as important, right? And what happens is, with the capital, they just continue to get worse when they're not fixed, and then you have another level of project to occur, right? where money is received for projects, again, school construction authority prioritize them. Gibbs gave money to Children's Aid to give to put a basketball court outside in 72 because we don't have a gym. We don't have one basketball court that's a real full court like this. So here's kids that need to play and be on a team, but they can't practice. And Jesus, we get the gym, 15,000 foot court for the gym. Oh no, that's not all.
Just quickly,
I'm sorry, I digress. Yes, Asher,
from what
I said it low enough.
when I was looking, sorry, from what I was looking up, is Reso A funds don't necessarily come from City Hall, they come from city council members and the borough presidents.
Private, yeah.
And the borough president.
So we need to
it's-
hit them all
yeah.
up. And that's what the agenda is saying, I'm sorry, Ash, we need to invite them in. And you know what, we have asked PS 72 kids to come and present either in April or March about this particular project, because they see the value of something that won't benefit them, but will benefit the kids that come after them. And that's what it really is about in teaching community and making sure that the community is invested for the future. So fix all bathrooms, not because I work. I digress, yes.
I don't know if I've just missed this on other ones, but I looked at last year's and I feel like I've never seen them flat out just say we don't support this.
Yeah, they never have.
They're like,
Last year and this year has been really wicked with the youth and education, and we got nothing approved.
and I feel like we support it but don't have any funds is like typical. And they're flat out just like, nah, like we don't.
Yeah, we don't support, or agency does not support.
And just to be petty, you think the Department of Education would know that all caps means you're screaming at me and I don't know why they're screaming.
Well, again, I think somebody mentioned, there are different staffers that respond to these things, and they may have their own.
Like you're yelling at me that you have no money.
Yeah, well, maybe they're frustrated, they don't have the money either, I don't know, but
But I think addressing that, like ask them what particular part of that do they not support?
well, I think there are two things with this. I think our asks, they kind of overlap, and sometimes it may seem like they're a little redundant in some of these asks, where we're asking for more things of teachers. And what I've learned is, particularly with DOE, is they want you to kind of have this confusion, so you don't know really where to go to get things. But, we constantly ask them for more different levels of staff to deal with different levels of kids, and I don't disagree these things are needed. But I think when we just throw out so many asks that are similar, it's easily to push aside. Yes, Renee?
Well, I also have a question about the wording, because agency supports but cannot accommodate.
Right.
Could they elaborate on what they can accommodate? Because this one's asking for a few bathrooms. So is it a matter of all of this is too much, or is there something that you can do? It's one of the bathrooms possible.
No, these are the kinds of things that we have to put as our responses when we write this up.
Mhm.
That's the exact kind of thing, that we would respond to them. But I think also what Jen was saying is, that aside from it also, they've never been this right, like, no, it's.
I'll give them a pass on the caps, just observation, but
That's a good-
even like yesterday in human services, like all of ours were like, we support but can't accommodate, and that I'm like, at least you're saying you support, like in theory, to be like,
Or they would sometimes say, we can support, accommodate some, and then we always ask, well, what's some?
Oh, they say that sometimes?
No, they don't. That's what we have to clarify, right? And that's where we learn to make the ask, particularly for capitals, as individual asks. When you ask for so many these schools, bam, 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 boom, it just becomes overwhelming. So we found when we made it smaller that we might get the ask through, as opposed to.
In the past, specifically for this one, we put the specific bathrooms, and we were told that was like too much, or something. And they wanted more broad or something like that. Now we made it more broad, and now it needs to be more specific. It's a cycle of we give them what we think they want, and then to the end we end up with what we originally put.
We should use their thing. We are contacting you because you indicated we should contact you for more information, and we'd like to get the information. One second. Yes, Russell.
We're having a lot of narrative being discussed here. Let's address what we're gonna do with each one of these items and how we're gonna fulfill it by Friday.
Right, but what I was trying to do is say, it was very collective. And so maybe we need to not always ask for so many things as a similar kind of ask and become more narrow on that.
Let's work toward that now. Let's identify what we're gonna do, how we're gonna address it.
I think Fernando gave us the most simplest explanation in the den. You indicated we should call you in to understand why we're calling you in to get information on, help us understand why this cannot be funded. And we invite him in. You know, and that's what we do. And then somebody goes down on the 23rd. And I know it's harder for some of us than others.
You also stated earlier that trying to find out where other
echoing?
who's funded. We should attach that to.
Well, you know what I thought was funny? I mean, not funny, but I thought interesting, and I never did this before. When I was going through this and printing this stuff, I started looking at what District 12's asks were around the youth and how they were different than ours. And theirs were very interesting, just very broad and general, and didn't really have in-depth as we had in ours. Kind of was the way we used to do it over 10 years ago. And I wanted to take time to look at more other districts, particularly districts of needs that have poorer communities, to see how they're asking and how they may get responses. Yes, it does.
I'll be quick, the only trouble sometimes with the too broad of request is then they'll say they did it, but you don't know where they did it.
Right.
You know, they might have done it.
Well, that's the other piece we always have to ask for, clarify
Yeah. Where did you do it?
where was it done? Right? Or when they say this has already been funded,
Where, for what?
where, right, you know,
How much?
or was it not, it was funded in Brooklyn,
Right.
but not in East Harlem, right?
Exactly.
So they can give that general blanket kind of statement. Remember, this is the mayor's office, so it's not borough-wide, this is citywide. So, I mean, again, these things deal with LGBT, all different special needs groups we put, so one is not any really different than the other, it's just addressing a different population. And again, we should bring in all of these entities, starting with DOE, starting with DYCD, because we have two asks from DYCD as well. And kind of ask them to come in to help explain what, you know, we want more information. You said to contact you for more information, we're requesting more information. And then invite them. And that's really the response, I think, to most of them, unless, you know, again, hopefully everybody read this, so we have the dialogue now, not reading it to figure it out. That's why we took the time to highlight it to make it easy.
So I'm confused by what we're doing if we're not giving it a new, but like genuinely the first time.
Right, so we're not coming up with new. That's
So
the
what are
next
we, I
process.
know, so what are we doing now then?
We respond to these, we say, city, you said this, we want you to come in and
Yeah.
with us and explain. Give us more information as to why this can't be done.
Quickly, this is the preliminary budget. The mayor will make an executive budget, right? That'll be the final one. So this is our last chance to kind of get him to maybe move some money where we want it to.
So we can change things on,
Well, we can't change it, but we can kind of,
edit it.
yeah, like make a case for it or something. There are things that were in the preliminary budget that will be changed when he does the executive. He said it himself, but they're not necessarily things that.
So we can change the wording on these, so essentially we're just appealing everything
Like,
that
or
was
like a
not.
statement that we give to them.
It's more of like a statement or, you know, a question, we want more information. Like, again, when they say something has been funded in part, okay, so we've asked for something to be funded in this community. We want to know where it was funded, which part was funded,
Right.
which school was funded, which CBO was funded. Work, learn, and grow, expansion, right? They'll tell you, we've expanded, right, but where? And 7,000 slots for the city for the school year, for work, learn, and grow, SYP during the school year, is very small. Very small to the percentage that they serve during the summer.
I recently found out that 72 is a landmark, so I wonder if that changes, because I had noticed when I was looking at this, I noticed that,
Landmarks make it
Whoever-
harder to change things.
Yeah, so when I was looking it up, I actually found out that the reason why the repairs are oftentimes more expensive and kind of left to the wayside for buildings like 72 is because it's a landmark. It was built in like the 1800 somethings, so everything is really
So I think
old.
you're thinking of the building. So the two buildings, Julio de Berto is the original 72 building that was built in 1800s. The building that we are in now is Lexington Academy, was built in 1925, and is an annex to Julio, the original PS 72.
So wouldn't,
And I can show
but
you
wouldn't we
pictures.
be able to still, I'm saying though, technically it's an offset of the landmark,
May not
so
be.
wouldn't we be able to spin that somehow? Because it's kind of like, because what I'm saying is I noticed the one right above ours where they asked for like upgrades to existing cultural facilities, they got that stuff. And they just said why it was important.
Right, but it's a different funding source. See who's funding it?
I know, but I'm saying like, as we appeal, can we like get support from other, because they're saying it's not enough funding. So when they come and we ask about that, can we ask about the different avenues of funding that we can actually pull together for it to complete the project?
Well, I think that's some of the stuff like what they was, Dr. Christie was saying, you know, you get the elected officials, you get other people from the resolute rights. Yes.
Okay.
Right, so right now we're editing the responses to make a comment, ask a question, or get more clarification, or specific clarification on what has been funded or projects.
Can we ask that?
Yeah, well, again, see what happens is now there's a document, right? And everybody's gotta make comments. And then Ash and I take the comments and we put it together for the committee, and then the committee takes it, and then they work it into the larger draft. You have till Thursday. Because it has to go to the committee on Friday. Yeah.
You could also put stuff, if someone's gonna go testify, you guys can craft a testimony that might cover these other things too, you know? Doesn't have everything in the statement necessarily has to reflect the testimony, I don't think, as long as you guys agree to it. You could add stuff.
From what I understood in the past, is if you're going as a community board member then, but if you're going as your own person.
Correct, so there's two ways you can testify. You can testify as a community board member, and then you go in with the sanction of the approval of the chair of the board to represent the board. But everybody is entitled and welcome to go on their own as a New York City resident, member, and you want to testify to needs in your community or needs in your city, by all rights. They do ask that when you do testify, that you also submit a written testimony, so that the record is also a written document that you submit. So you would give testimony. So the idea was, and we talked about this in housing, if anybody was to go testify down in housing, they would submit what the statement of district needs is for this committee, and then submit that information and present that information. Now, if you want to present additional information that is beyond what the board is representing, then you do that on your own. And everybody is again welcome to do that, but you must, I would say, to avoid any conflicts of interest, or anything to clarify, I'm representing myself as an individual, or I'm representing the board as sanctioned by the board chair. Okay, Stan? So, I mean, I'm fine with, you know, usually what happens with this process is the chair and vice chair, the committee that take it and do it. And some committees, there are some people that add comments, and then some committees, people don't add comments. So, you know, again, I think as we collectively look at the things that are done in terms of these budget expense needs, we're all asking for the same kind of thing. I think the responses from them are all the same, and can be, for the most part, a similar response in how we frame that we are inviting you in to give us more information, as you said to invite you in. Yes.
If someone testifies, could they testify on all of these? Or
Again, what we would do, again, these are, right, yeah. So again, if you're gonna testify, right, you go to Deb, I want to, you know, the committee chair, I want to
I will be
testify.
there all.
And that we have a discussion of what you're gonna present, and then you present, you submit the written testimony. If you start presenting things that are not related to the board, right, then you run into the issue that way. And you're welcome to do both. You're welcome to go there and present as an advocate and member of the board, and you present the board's message. And then I want to also present on my, so, you know, one of the things in housing I feel very strong about that's not within our committee right now is about Mitchell House, because I see the benefits, right? I thought about going and testifying on that piece. And again, that's not that it's not a focus of this committee, but it's not a major focus, right? It's not. Correct. And again, we may do other things in the board that are not all budget priorities. I tell you, the thing with rats has been on the board forever. Nobody does anything about it, but every year it doesn't get off the board. In our committee, I mean, in Health and Human Services. Okay, and then they said they got the rats off, so that's how they settled it. Okay, so are there comments people are thinking as they review this? Yeah.
I have many comments, but I don't know what to do with them because I was confused.
Then you send them to me and Ash.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think if you send it to them and it's accepted and voted on, then that could be a part of it. So whatever you have, put it in. If it ends up getting added in, then that's a part of the record. So throw whatever you want at the wall, but they'll make no promises, right? I think that's kind of, I would say.
Right.
yeah.
And then send it in writing, and then we take it and we write a couple paragraphs. You got a book for me? Thank you. Will you care to read it into record so that it's not, right?
Okay, well, I noticed that I think that we might be able to get away with a little bit more as it pertains to what we asked DOE for, just from what I've noticed. If we focus more on the outsourcing, like allocation of funds for outsourcing of these services, as opposed to just waiting on DOE to complete. So for example, there was one here about like, this was not DOE, but this was the Department of Youth and Community Development. And it was about, it was like anti-violence initiatives, right? And so I wonder, instead of asking them to provide like the actual programming for that stuff, we just ask for allocation for funds to keep our own programs open late night, like, you know, free permits and stuff like that, or designated free permits for some of our community spaces, funding for that. You understand what I'm saying? So that this way we're not directly like, we're still getting what we need, but we're not asking for anything on their time, we're just asking for the money. So we're asking for space, for example, for, hold on. Yeah, it was the gun violence one, so
That's the last one.
that to me, that could have been flipped into just like a,
Well, see, even with the gun violence one, right, where is
thank
it?
you.
Agency support, no, where is it?
Oh, yeah,
That's
those
what these way
programs.
funds are for pre-programming these homes. See, this is another one where they kind of do it, but they don't really do it to the degree that we need. Like,
So then maybe we put it under a different name, right? So if they're saying that they already give funds for crisis management assistance programs, then maybe we should be asking for funds for some type of like cornerstone program, like what's it called? What was it used to be called when we was younger, Saturday Night Live and stuff
yeah,
like
they still,
that?
no, they still run those programs.
So
They
then
do
can we
run.
have those specified for, you know what I'm saying? Like,
So
can we
again,
flip it that way?
Yeah, I mean, so, but that's a different program, right? See, I think this was more specific to certain kinds of, what you're talking about, the summer,
Open
those,
the door for
right.
it, and then we
So-
would be able to use the allocated funding for Saturday Night Live programs.
so they do those.
Okay.
All right, so the nitrous sites are the Saturday night light sites, or whatever they call them, where they're open till 11 o'clock. We have some. And they've used those sites because they are the city sites and they're free and they don't have to pay to open them to the same degree. So Children's Aid does run some of those sites in Frederick Douglass houses where Victor works now. They do it up in Taft, you know, so there are programs that are out there. So we didn't ask for those more here. And that's a different ask. That's an ask that we want to expand those to all NYCHA sites. Like when they say the MAP program, that's under Wagner. Wagner's getting a lot of money for that particular program. And the MAP programs come in and kind of blanket the neighborhood and assess what the services are and try to engage, and it's centered around NYCHA facilities. In fact, the one good thing that came out of this with the Work, Learn, and Grow and SYEP is that NYCHA sites have automatic slots to get kids SYEP jobs. So if you live in that NYCHA site and you apply, they have a certain amount that you get in. So there are some really good things that have happened. We keep asking for more slots. Okay, so during the summer, you'll hear 70,000 slots in New York City SYEP. In the winter, they only serve 10% citywide. So now when you serve 70,000 kids in the summer, you only serve 7,000 during the winter. And I have some of those kids working at my site right now, helping out. We're doing reading partners and tutoring. They are an extension to help support youth development in different ways. So those are the things that we ask them to be more expanded directly because they benefit kids. So there are programs open.
Cause I'm saying this right here was listed out here. Doesn't the precinct do this? Don't they do the gun intervention stuff? So
Right,
really,
but there are a lot of local groups in East Home, and we work with one all the time at 72 with us in after school, Not Another Child. And they're a local group where the founder, his brother and the mother, son died, and they founded the group. We work with several other groups, Go Save New York. There are a lot of groups in East Home that are receiving funding to do the work. If we had the DA's office on, they can speak more to that.
so for this one, are we asking, no, I'm just trying to understand. So are we asking for funds to support the groups in East Harlem who are working on those initiatives?
We're asking to expand it so that it's expanded, not really just focused on Wagner, but they can be in Carver and Washington, right? So that they're more expanded in different sites.
So I do think we should say that in here, because for example, because again, that one.
See, I think one of the things we also have to focus is, okay, why can't you accommodate, right? This doesn't say funding here.
No one says it's already happening.
Yeah.
Right, but we're asking for it to be expanded, right? And while the focus is Wagner, right, in that area of East Harlem, so.
Maybe we can ask them where, I mean, we kind of know, but if you
Right.
make them tell us, yeah, it's happening this one.
Or
But at the same time,
what other NYCHA sites are larger sites that would benefit from having a MAP program?
So.
This is some of the stuff we've struggled with also with housing and health and human services is finding out all the services that are in our community. Because when EDC was here, they didn't want to let us know where all the supported housing was and how much was.
Sorry. I need to go.
So, again, this request has already been completed. Well, it needs to continue. This cannot be accommodated. Why can it not be accommodated? Why? Why can't it be expanded? We want you to come in and talk to us.
Yeah. I don't think we have these.
Yep.
printed out. We don't have these printed out? The budget?
No, I sent it to everybody.
I have mine. Yeah, that was the only thing because look, this one, I don't know, what committee was this that made this request? If it was this probably Eco Dev?
What request are you talking about?
There's one on the first page that they had made right before us and it got passed. And
It's for the Department of Cultural Affairs, though, so they could just.
so they can just throw money at it, but it also was just not lost on me that they were extremely, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were extremely detailed, right? Like they said, it's for local theaters such as PS 109 Art Space, Dr. La Viera, you know what I'm saying? I think that might make a slight difference for that one. When we're talking about expansion.
No, it's who you ask for. See, if you would ask that same ask the DOE, you know what you're gonna get?
We need more
Agency
research.
cannot accommodate. I
They
mean,
also kind of didn't, because the explanation is not,
Yeah.
the explanation is actually, we recommend that each organization bring their project to the attention of local elected officials, so that's them accommodating it, is being like, Yeah, go ask for it somewhere else.
Oh,
Wow, that sounded like. I thought they were.
No, I'll tell you, the housing things, a lot of housing things went through. I was excited with that.
So if we can accommodate, you ask someone else.
Right. So, in short, what I've learned is we can never agree on anything here because everybody has different things to say about different things.
Well, why can't we? Cause then I feel like by the time we wait
Because
for
if we
the-
sit here and write this up, we'll all be here for 2-3 hours writing it up.
But if we went to testify, then we'd be getting the response there in person, live, and we couldn't show pictures, and like.
Well,
You could-
well, if you're
you-
representing the, sorry.
Two things.
Yeah.
So if you're going and we're gonna testify on the information from the committee, right? You go with whatever information we have. You go with your verbal, you show pictures, you know, like, again, show the condition of the thing, right? Again, have the kids come in and present. These are the things that you highlight.
So,
Have kids gonna have a testify. You mess them up downtown, you bring some. I had him testify when he was a kid, younger.
Anyway,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to-
yeah,
Yeah, no,
I will say, if you are, this is just a general statement, if you are going to testify on behalf of the committee, I would appreciate if you spoke to David, me, and them first, just so that way, if we have multiple people going, we can maybe divide and conquer a little bit,
Right.
and also just so we're all on the same page, if you're testifying on the community board front.
Well, what Ash made is a good point, that we can focus on something more than just being on everything.
Yeah.
You know, so you'll get more time to speak on one specific thing
Yeah.
than if we speak all on everything and highlight that, those things.
But we're not addressing how we are going to put it in writing what the requests are.
Everybody's
And
gonna
that's
go
what,
home.
that's what.
I'm gonna explain it. Everybody's gonna go home. They should have read this already. If they didn't, they should read it again. If they have comments on any one of these, they should write the number down and then write their comment. We will then take all the comments and accumulate a document that we will pass on to the district needs committee. Now, again, we have less time than a lot of other committees because we're meeting now and the full board is next week. And they need this by Thursday.
so then shouldn't we just do it now?
No, because we don't have enough time to get it done properly now.
Right.
But
We're not gonna-
what's the properly? That's what I'm-
Because if you're limited time and this is that important, then we're rushing through it.
But so can we, this is also my thing, can everybody sitting at this table, inclusive of everyone who's not even here today because we had to fight for quorum,
Mm-hmm.
can everybody provide the same amount of intent that we are here provided right now, that we're all sitting at this table as we continue our lives for the rest of the week, and then we give those things in? Because me, I read this, it was
Mhm.
sent out to me, and I seen it, I got my notes, I've got my comments, and I'm prepared.
Not everybody else is as prepared as
We
you.
have to be.
Yes.
I'm just saying,
No, no.
I don't wanna, if I'm gonna be completely honest, it's late. If we can really do what you did separately and bring it back, but, I mean, you can try, but we'll be here all night and then people get tired, they're hungry.
I mean, it's not up to me, I understand that, but we're gonna do whatever the majority wants to do, like I said, I hope that everybody applies the same,
I
you
agree.
know what
I
I'm saying, the
understand,
same intent and effort than when we're sitting at the meeting where this is designed for us to do that.
I know our board chair expects exactly what you are saying. We all expect that everybody here is committed to giving their time towards doing what we need to do to make this a document of quality. However, the reality is, in my 20 years on this board, I can break it down into 3 groups.
Mhm.
One group, amazing people, no initiative, work on their own,
Mhm.
give the task, they do it and bring back. Another group, good people, they'll do the work, they need some support, and they want to work in the good intentions of us all. And then there's those that just are here for the reason that they are here, that we won't even get into at the moment, and they may not be as committed to getting the work done. However, as a chair and a vice chair, I have a responsibility to get a job done, whether people are with me or not. Hopefully that we have enough with us so the work doesn't become over burdensome to those that do work. But I've sat on this table and chaired committees since 2009 and have struggled at times for the commitment people have said they want to be in here for, to get work done in a timely fashion. So I wait for no man, no woman, no one. I will work with Ash as he is the chair. He will take the lead. I will do my part as the district needs and budget, and then I will forward it and move forward. I will advocate for what we fight for here.
For lack of a better.
Part of the problem is generally, and I'm not saying anybody here, but part of the problem we don't get things done here in a timely fashion is because half the people haven't done the work.
Well, can I say something?
Yes, Ms. Tanya.
So, as a new board member, right, I am here observing and learning, so, and we get a lot of different emails, different committees. Sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming, and especially when you don't have a lot of knowledge. So, and I know someone said before, like for new board members, we need like a little special orientation on task and how to get tasks done. But my observation is like when we're here very long, people begin to tap out. We were at this meeting yesterday till at 9:30, and so you tap out after a while. So for me, in order for me to be effective, I need that time, and maybe like you all said, we should read, but I don't even know what I'm really supposed to do and how to address things. So just.
I think in the simplest fashion is you read, you have questions, you have comments about a particular ask, just put them down. And then we look at them together, find the commonalities, and then just take it from there. I mean, this is not like, it's not work that we shouldn't have already not done. We should already kind of know this stuff because we've been living with it.
Okay.
One thing I've known is in the last 10 years, we live with this every meeting to some degree.
I would say on the budget stuff, just to swing it back to that, one way that I learned as a new board member too about the district needs and budget stuff is to go to a district needs and budget meeting. Because that's where they're talking about it, they're talking about the process, then they come back here. So I say you're welcome to attend any of those meetings. I say that's just my suggestion, because that's how I learned a lot.
I can Google that.
Process. You can go to that, you're not voting.
Yeah, but.
You could go to that, and they basically say what is about to come here, so it gives you even more time to process it before you get to the meeting.
Malik?
Yeah, so, I mean, I know it's, for Ms. Tanya, I know that this process is new to you and different. What we did as far as in environmental open space and parks, although this preliminary budget has a lot more than we had in parks, because you can see that the difference. Most of the stuff, as far as responses, are in the old one from last year. We can make new adjustments, which we would have to make it up to date. But then we can process, because I know that it's a short period of time, if the chair would allow, we can start the process of it for next year to like try to make those arrangements or different, based off of where we at today.
Okay.
But most of it, I mean, obviously, like the tracking codes may be different here and or there, but most of it is a response. Like the beginning process is to Eric Adams, right? We know that he's not the current mayor, so we have to change that. So those are just little changes that we would possibly have to make, and then others, if their response changed, then we would change it. Or if we want a different response, we would change the response based off of this statement that we have given
Okay.
to the mayor last year. So we just making these small
I get it.
changes
Mhm,
just to give you, like, this is what we did last year,
mhm,
and this is the draft based off of their response.
I get it. Mhm.
So we're just, for the most part, tweaking
What they already did.
what we as a board did
Mhm,
last year,
I understand.
okay? Some of them may be a little different, but they're not far off,
Okay,
okay? Just to
I
give you
got
a
it.
little help.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So what moves this process is we always gonna have new members and we're gonna have experienced members. But whoever has something to bring to the table, we're asking that you write it, send it in.
Mhm,
It'll be assessed, can't be worked out this way.
mhm,
So no matter how knowledgeable one may be, if this is a particular topic you don't know how to address,
mhm.
you can't be held accountable.
Right, right.
Right? So
I just want to know my
whoever's gonna
accountability.
add to the soup,
Mhm,
put it in, it'll be
I get it.
assessed, and the group will do that. Most things are on Google Doc, people can have.
I would add this, and watching you as a new member, you contribute.
Okay,
And you contribute very much
thank you,
from
thank you,
experience and knowledge base,
Mhm.
and it's very valued.
thank you, I appreciate that.
That's what we.
Hopefully we can go to the next thing. I just wanna say, I've been listening to all the feedback. I think what we'll do is we'll make a Google Doc so the new members can kind of fill out what it is they don't think they know well, or they need more,
Good.
and we can maybe create some things, so we could do that.
With everything.
The staff is happy to do that. With that said, and I'll just say this, I gotta confirm with the borough president, but as far as I know, they expect about a 16 to 20 hour a month commitment from members when they sign up. If you're on 3 committees and they meet for 3 hours each, that's 9 hours. And I'm wondering, I'd love if we were all doing 7 hours of work outside the board, but, and I agree, some meetings should be an hour, but some meetings do need to be 3 hours. It just depends. If we're wasting time, no, but if we're doing work, there should be no time, it should go with the work. If we're going off topic, then there's a problem, so that's it, all right?
How about asking each other
What do you mean?
for help, if you don't understand something?
Well, we do. I think we have to create environments for our members where they can ask those questions so that when we come to the meetings, we can streamline things and do work.
Exactly.
So that's why I mentioned about that survey. It's hard to know what they need, and we haven't maybe always done the best job of asking. So I think we're gonna try to meet each other in the middle to know where we can improve things, so.
So I guess for the sake of, is everybody clear on the process right now? So that we can move forward with the process?
I'm clear, I just
No.
I just wish that we would have, I'm so sorry.
No, but
I'm so
you know
sorry, I
what?
love everyone at this table, but I wish we would have all came with notes today. You know what I mean?
Well, I
Like-
came with my notes.
I
I have called Dr.
apologize.
Chris.
No, you're on 3 committees, that's fine, it's totally fine.
So
And
implement the
I'm
notes.
Okay, so I wanna move this forward,
Implement the
right?
notes. It doesn't hurt. If you want to implement the notes,
You can send them.
implement the notes right now. For the ones who don't, they can do it later,
Mhm.
if you wanna do that.
Well,
I'm just-
no, I did ask you to read. You didn't read the whole thing, because you read something and we got talked on, tangent. So why don't we do this? Kiara has read and has prepared something.
Yes.
Right?
I'll submit.
No, no,
Yes.
let-
Mhm.
Again, this is our starting point, Kiara.
Yeah.
This gets read, this becomes where we then
Mhm.
extend this to the other
You
pieces.
did the work. Go ahead.
Right.
Let's just say the way it really is. The chair has what he has with the information that's already there. Anybody that has anything to contribute to it, that's where we are.
My thought
Everybody's
process,
not gonna contribute
Yes.
equally if you don't know what you don't know.
my thought process was
Okay.
also just for the people who are watching. Like, I can send my notes in, but also for the people who are like, you know what I'm saying, it kind of just ends here.
Well, all this gets, if your notes get on the thing, it all becomes a matter of public record. And there's a recording, and then if you submit no, they're not gonna ever see everything we do. But if it makes it on the need, it'll be public. We have minutes, we have the notes, so everything can be, you could go give the testimony if you felt your notes weren't read and in your own personal capacity,
Yeah.
but people still hear
And
it.
that's your contribution.
Also, Dave is asking you to read your notes
Mhm.
now, so it'll be in the minutes.
And read it because
No, no.
then I'll get knowledge.
That wasn't my primary
No, because he said.
Well, you
want
have
to-
it. Yeah.
And then if we do it, then if we don't.
Go ahead, girl, do it.
I like the other night.
What you're saying, you gotta make
and then I'll learn from your notes, so go ahead.
You'll learn from our notes when you read.
We do have
Yeah, but
another
like, but I'm
agenda
just saying,
item, we do
as
have
she's
some people
reading
that
them, I
have
get
come
some
to
type of
respond
idea out of
and
it.
present, so we do wanna move it along and not let us, Russell, please. Thank you.
You the king of that, I just want you to know that.
I second it.
All right.
What do you mean, for 40 years, 45 years?
No, I'm just explaining to her so she won't get stuck.
All right, so we're clear on the process. We're going to use what Kiera has worked on as our starting point. If she could read that into the record, then we will start with those points in drafting our response. Thank you, Kiera.
Absolutely. So for starters, some things that I recognized was that we could change basically change the wording that we use. So instead of making exact demands of DOE, we just ask them to allocate the funds so that we can outsource those services. So for example, and I guess this is not really DOE, but this is more DYCD because it's more leaning towards the Department of Youth and Community Development. But for things like, okay, here we go. Here's a DOE one. So to assign more non-teaching staff to provide social health and other services. We request additional non-teaching staff to facilitate workshops, so on and so forth, when instead we could actually just ask for allocation of funds so that we can go get those services ourselves. You feel me? So we don't actually have to wait for the connection to be made. It's just more allocation of those funds specifically for District 4 public schools to get what they need from whatever nonprofit service or CBO. Mind you, DOE has a whole list of, what's it called? Somebody, vendors?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Right, so we could even include that, which is also here, right? Like we include in the notes that the allocation is specifically for vendors that have already been vetted by DOE. All we need are the funds. This is what they're gonna be for. That was one of my notes. Another one of my notes was the positioning of 72 as like an offset of a landmark, and therefore basically seeing if that is an avenue for further funding, because technically the preservation of 72 is preservation of the culture of the neighborhood and the history of the neighborhood. Other educational programs, this was pretty much just from my understanding, I actually had a question about this. The other educational programs request, this was for funding for specialized support services. But what exactly did that mean? Did that just mean support for like training, like support for IEP students to be able to coexist in those spaces with support? Okay, so then I would say the same thing. Instead of just asking, like maybe, instead of asking DOE for paras that, that's it, they don't have them, we can just ask to outsource that. I'm sure that there is some type of vendor or service that DOE knows of that's made of qualified. And actually I did some research and they've got these things called, high impact success coaches. And that is when they bring people from outside, they're DOE vendors, but they're not part of DOE, but they come in to essentially serve as classroom support, IEP support, para support, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, those were some of my notes. We can stop there and then continue going if you'd like. Well done. Thank you.
That's a starting point. Thank you. You will submit that and we can work off of that. Please, anybody else, please provide by Thursday the latest, any other comments that you wish to make. Again, they don't have to be, you don't have to write the paragraph or the sentence. We will put that together and write that.
Okay.
But, I think here that point is good. Sometimes, looking at it from a different angle as well, and then maybe asking it a different way. So that's some of what we did learn from somebody that worked in here. We had presented here before. So
I have a question real quick. Yes. What's the mayor's action plan for neighborhood safety, and is it different now because we have a different mayor? Like, how do those things change?
I think it stays the same until the new mayor reviews it and makes changes or continues it. What is
it though? It's a night shift, but what is it?
Huh?
It's like what is it? It's a night shift.
Well, they blanket the neighborhood, right, with services, and that's like the MAP program, right, where you provide interventions to offset services people are not getting, right? And connecting them to services.
Okay.
Anybody else? Thursday? Yes.
The one Kara was just mentioning, Department of Education, it's on page 277. The middle one, number one, where it says assign more non-teaching staff.
Yep.
So if we're talking about paraprofessionals, could we speak on, or can we mention the paraprofessional respect check? Because that would incentivize, item priority one.
No.
If we're talking about non-teaching staff and if paraprofessionals fall into that category, isn't that the one you were just talking about? On page 200.
So this is what I'm saying, a lot of these are so very similar, you know, the ask, it's the same kind of ask, but for different populations of people, right?
Well, also in regards to the respect check, yes, that's something very important, but that's like a separate thing that I don't know if necessarily we should mention within that, because that pertains to current paraprofessionals, from what I understand.
Yeah, well, by retaining and incentivizing people to come into the field.
But this is about, yeah, but
I
I get where you're coming from.
No, but that, again, maybe that's how we have to reframe these questions, right, when we make the ask. Because sometimes if we don't ask correctly, right, or clear on what we're asking.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how we can add it in there. I just am not sure.
If there's a way to add it, it would be.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
So this whole thing, so what I'm hearing is support staff, like we need more support staff, and there's an umbrella, there's DC 37,
Yes.
there's UFT paraprofessional, there's DC 37
Right.
paraprofessionals, right? So what essentially the ask is, and this has been all over the news because they want to raise the salary of paraprofessionals so that more people want it. So I'm hearing, and maybe I'm not hearing right, but we just honestly need support staff, and they can be outsourced, they can be, but just spreading that, DC 37, UFT paraprofessionals, we just need more support staff.
Well, that's why there's so many of these asks that are similar, because they're asking for a different kind of work in each thing. See, this is where it's so tricky.
Yeah, that's the tricky part I'm hearing.
Right, and then if you group them all together, you get nothing.
Okay.
But if we separate them too many, I think we get nothing too. It's almost like you gotta hone in on something and then really focus on one or two things.
Okay.
Than trying to get everybody.
I see what you're saying.
Because trying to get everybody leads us to these answers that none of them support it. Now, you can, working in the school, and I'll tell you, it's still coming out of COVID, you can't tell me we don't need more of all these other services and professionals in the school than we needed. We needed them pre-COVID, but they're more needed post-COVID.
Right, okay.
Right? And that's why we've asked for more and intensified that ask, because those of us that are working in school see this.
Yeah,
Like,
and paraprofessionals don't come out of the school's budget, isn't that?
Do they?
They don't. They don't come out of, no.
The rest of this conversation after you do the next part on the agenda.
Excuse me, so we follow the order of the meeting. The meeting is that we address these issues, presentations, and then old business. The part of the presentation that you're looking for is part of old business. That comes after this part. This part is very important for us to make sure that we get done, because this is our responsibility to complete.
Well, I get how important it is, but if it's so important, then everybody should have done their homework before this meeting and it would have gone a lot faster.
Ma'am, I really wish, if you want to talk about this afterwards and talk about our processes and procedures, you're more than welcome. And I'll address those with you.
From what I understand, and I heard this when I was hired, because it took a while for me to get hired as a full-time paraprofessional, some of it does come out of the school budget. Is it all? Fernando could correct me, because he has worked with the UFT before, so.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
My understanding is that it does come from the school.
It does come from the school's budget, yeah. A lot of it does come from.
Okay, I mean, I can come back and with definitive, I'll come back to that.
I've seen it in the galaxy,
Mhm.
budget for the school.
Mhm.
Thank you for your notice, that's something we would know about.
Any other comments? So we're all clear?
So next month's meeting, how will this be?
Okay, so what happens is this gets done by Thursday, Friday, it gets sent to Sage. Sage then puts it all together with the committee, and then it's presented at Tuesday, full board.
Okay.
It doesn't come back next month to our meeting.
What comes back,
It's just done.
no, what comes back is the new process where this begins again, and then we decide which of these things are we gonna continue to work on and tackle or let go. We may say, okay, we run a dead end here, we wanna focus on this. You know, again, we are limited in what we can focus on in terms of these things. And again, this is addressing all the needs in our community, not just one particular need.
So by October, we'll be doing 2027. We need to finalize it for 2027 by October, or 2028.
But see, this is where the work begins, we said it earlier. This is about inviting the people into the table, to sitting and having these discussions, not just of this period. But we used to meet with them during the summer too, when it was the downtime, and say, okay, let's prepare them for the new year. We need to get back into committees and board members and leadership meeting with the different departments.
I already have Angel scheduling those.
No, I know you're working on it, you know, and not being critical of where we are now. Again, where we were is where we are. Where we want to go is where we're moving to. And again, this is not an easy task, but it's a task that really lives with us for the year. So right now, we really have to decide which of these are we gonna continue for next year or not? And what are we gonna do to try and get it in here, right? Asking differently, all the kinds of things that we have. So if there are no further ado, we'll get to the last item on the agenda, an old business. Well, is there any new business? No new business, right?
I'm pretty sure it's old business first.
So the old business, I would just start, and I would slip in our chair, he's still here. We are here to discuss a project. We had a very intense meeting last month. We learned a lot since last month. We asked for clarification from the school and from EDC and what's the other place? New York.
NYC bill.
NYC bill. We've had meetings, there've been emails. We could probably write a novel with all the emails that have gone back and forth. But, you know, again, it's a very important thing in this community that's going to impact the community. Just as all the things we just previously discussed are all equally as important to make sure we make the proper time to discuss. It's a little disheartening. After last meeting, there was several things that were left unanswered. We asked for additional clarification. We got some, not all. The expectation was Nightingale would be back this month to continue the conversation. This is not unnormal. We have many entities that come into the community and we sit with them and that we want to make sure that the community that's being impacted is also benefiting to some degree and that the constituents in the community have equal opportunity to the service and the facilities that are occupying space in each home. However, again, I'll say it is again very discerning that we are left at the table without Nightingale being here. And it behooves that partnerships begin with people sitting at the table. And this partnership never began with them coming and sitting at the table. It actually began with them announcing at a full board, but then trying to get members of the committee to meet with them outside of the board office and of the board committee meetings, which they were invited to for over a year. They came before the board and they presented. And many of the things they presented unfortunately, we're not. I'm trying to think of a better word than true.
I mean, what did they?
It was
Straightforward,
updated.
straightforward.
No, they did not.
Excuse
They
me.
withheld the information.
Excuse me. No, I understand, you were here, and you are, and you'll have a proper time, you will have a proper time to speak.
You know,
He's been helpful.
I was here the last time, I saw it all,
Okay.
I saw what happened, and
Do
I would like.
we wanna
to know
follow a
what
process?
I would like, no, not the process.
Well, then, you know what?
Excuse me.
No, no,
I would like to
excuse me,
know-
sir.
Okay, wait, don't
I
let
would
them.
like to know what happened to the deadline. They were given a deadline to be here last time.
We're trying to see, and sir, I know you were here last time, and
I
I,
didn't even get a chance
I
to
understand,
speak.
but we did not know, and if you want to speak, all you do is raise your hand, there'll be time for every person here to speak. Okay?
I'm
Like numb to.
And I understand you're living this, and I don't want to take away what you feel.
There's a
But we
time.
want to conduct a meeting that's appropriate and that gets to the bottom of what we haven't been able to do. Right, but I can't continue if I'm engaging.
Okay, so
Okay?
You're the gentleman that shared the application, right? And that was very helpful, thank you, because I think it shed a lot of light on the situation.
And if we
Yes,
would,
and it hadn't been for this young
Rob-
lady,
oh.
none of this would be on the board. They
and
would
that's
have
why,
found a way-
that's why a board is made up of different team members
And I
that have different skills. We do,
I appreciate her, she's the smartest light bulb in this room.
thank you.
as we love the youth.
Well, with that said, can I speak for a minute?
Well,
I can just hit the
You
highlight.
know, in order to conduct a meeting, right? And we went over the ground rules at the beginning.
And these people, they're so rude.
No, we're not rude, we're waiting to hear about it.
I understand, but he has to run the meeting, and we must respect.
Like he was running it, were you talking about budget? Everybody was talking at each other and going back and forth and having an open
Okay,
house.
okay.
But this, we are the
But now
committee.
we want to.
Can we say this?
This
You
is-
are, you're the public. We're
This
all
is insane.
impacted by it. We have a
And
process
look.
that we have to deliver, and we understand everybody's anxiety. We're fighting for your
Listen.
anxiety. We have to do this in a proper way to maintain a meeting. Everybody's gonna have this, everybody's gonna
And
have
that's
their,
condescending.
everybody's gonna have their time to say something.
And these are condescending
All right,
remarks.
but don't rush us. We got a process. And then it'll become disrespectful.
It's not.
It will
is
become- it will become
But that's what a community board meeting is, just to sit.
Decides to
How do you
dismiss
do
the
this?
public,
Bless you.
so we can, if you're interfering in how we can do business and they're interfering with it, then it's
Outlandish.
outlandish that you have to be dismissed for that.
Alright. Hello, my name's Asher, I'm the chair of the committee. I haven't been speaking much this meeting because I lost my voice. What David is trying to give is some context as to everything that has happened before. I know you really want to speak, we're gonna get to you, but we need to go into the context of everything there has been even before they came. And even before, I feel Kira knows how much I appreciate her bringing up what she brought up last month. We've had many conversations about it. Before even that was brought up last month, there was many conversations over email going back and forth. These people have been invited for over a year. David was nice saying a year. It's been over a year. They came in December of 2024. And immediately when I was made aware of it, none of us knew anything about this before until they were invited to a full board meeting. It was a previous leadership who invited them to say that they are building something. And then they were invited, I gave them the form, because I have the emails. I understand your frustration. I live around here also. I live not that far from it. It's a frustration, and they were given the form. I had followed up with them for every month for a year, and they never came until they started to hear some people getting upset about it. Some people going to council members getting upset about it, until we contacted the council member asking why different things happened. So that's the context that you needed. And David is getting into more of the details. This is me giving you, I can't give you the full thing right now, but David's gonna give you the full details. So if you could just give him the opportunity just to listen to what he has to say and listen to some of the context we're trying to give, and then we can have a conversation, please.
David, I apologize.
Thank you. And again, I do not want to take away what you feel, you have every right to feel. And we learned that you were here last month, and we wish you would have been able to speak or acknowledge that you were here. And we want to acknowledge you. and everybody. We're not happy with this, in the way this went down. And, you know, they actually reached out to me regionally in maybe April or May of 2024. But the context in which they reached out to me was through other members that told them that they could come speak to me. I'd be somebody good to speak to about knowing about the community. The context, I thought, was just to know nobody's home. You have a school. Sometimes people come to us and they want to know these things or not. I work also for Children's Aid. They want to have this information, which I provide if I can. Sometimes I can't meet. Me and Giselle try to meet. We had emails that went back and forth. We never met. But if the email to me would have been, hey, we'd like to click your brain and understand what's happening in East Harlem. We're building a school or we're building a gym. Maybe I would have made more of a time to meet with them and make that accommodation. So we want to move forward. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened since the last meeting that we learned about. Adem has been like an octopus with his hands in all the places that he's been reaching out to find out what we don't know. And as Kira presented last month, they came and presented that they had all the funding. And we learned that they did. Then we also had to learn what was the obligation to the loan. What was the responsibility? Have they been good neighbors in the past? What have they done to meet that obligation? Oh, they've had, so what we also learned.
Can we get back to our meeting, please?
This is the meeting.
Come on, let's just refocus.
This is part of the meeting. I am
But you're addressing him and you're not addressing the
Right,
committee.
patron.
Address,
I apologize.
he has it.
I'm addressing
You
them. I'm
gave him
addressing.
the due respect and everybody. So now give us respect and get back to our meeting.
As I was saying, they did not come with the knowledge of what the reality was going to be. They came, tried to meet with board members without, again, having the consensus of the committee and the board. They were asked numerous of times to come when I was chair, and then again, when Ashley became chair of the committee. So the relationship, you know, I think Bill Cosby said it best, and this is probably the worst, but his role in the show, where his daughter came to him to tell him she was getting married. And that's a wonderful thing of information. But the way that she delivered it was that she came and he said, it's like you prepared a nice steak. And what do you like on it? Mushrooms and onions, and it's really juicy. And then you deliver the steak on a garbage can top. So that's how I felt. Hearing the news of what was coming to a community, when that was not when they asked to meet with me originally. And then when they were asked by the board, when we did find out, and they were invited to come to the full board, they still failed to come to committee and explain the project. Now, Kiara found out something none of us knew that day. And we thank her for that. And what that did is really shed light on the wool being pulled over our heads one more time.
Absolutely.
Because that's what happened. The building's in the ground.
Already.
We're very limited. And what we've learned about the funding and the financing, you know, there's a commitment that they have. And what was really sad is the commitment only goes the duration of the loan.
Wow.
So when that loan is paid off, there is no commitment to this community, to serve this community. And that's where we're at.
Crazy.
Can I ask a question? We as a committee, as they as the public, we want to know what transpired from the last meeting to now. What could you update? What could
So,
we update us about?
We met with
EDC, New York City Builds.
Okay.
It was me, Adam, Jose, David. Is there anyone else?
and they were elected officials.
Oh, yeah,
Wendy's on,
Wendy.
and we had it with Madison from EDC.
Yes.
And then we have Oriana from Senator Serrano's office, because I made him
We
aware.
were told, and
Oh.
part of the reason East Harlem Tutorial Program is here today is we were told that they did give a recommendation letter for the loan. And the other one was Oh my God, why am I blinking?
I would say the other one was not even a really East Harlem
It's not an East
organization.
Harlem based organization, the
That's
other
crazy.
Or some grassroots thing, I'll look it
No,
up.
the first one was East
Yeah,
Harlem.
East Tutorial, yeah.
Gun
Well,
Hill.
East
No, East Harlem
Tutorial
Tutorial is East Harlem.
No, I was trying
No.
to make sure, okay,
Okay,
that's.
East Harlem Tutorial is East Harlem, that's why they're here, we're grateful that Ingrid and her team is here today.
And they provide a great service to the community,
Yes.
to the East Harlem.
We were told that they're only required to do, was it 100 hours a year?
100 hours a year,
Of
10 events.
community, 10 events, community space, community events. We were, during the meeting last month, they said they have never worked with this program before. We were told, we found out at this meeting with New York State Builds, that's not true. They built something at their current facility on 92nd Street with New York City Builds money.
Using the same type of funding.
Same type of funding,
My
so they,
May I ask a question?
I'm
sorry.
Kiara, can I just like finish and then
Mm-hmm.
and then after, yeah, sorry. They have built stuff with New York City Builds money. It was, what's it called? It was a no interest loan, is that what they said? How much was the?
No, it's not no interest, it's low interest.
Low interest loan, yes. And they get, tax breaks on it.
Just to piggyback on just that,
Yeah,
so
and yeah.
at the meeting with EDC, in that contract buried, it says they're saving $832,000 year one from the interest they're saving. So I don't know if it's a 20 or 30-year amortization schedule, 20 years. So it apparently was attached to that application, but it wasn't attached to the one we have. I've asked EDC to send that. The idea is as it gets paid down, it won't be $832,000 every year. That number will go down, but it could still be about $10 to $11 million in savings, depending. It's millions, we can say that. At the meeting, EDC, somebody from there was like, I don't know, it's a little weird. Maybe they don't know, I don't know, but they said it could be $1 million over the 20 years. I think the number is that in the first year and change.
Yeah.
And one last thing, so they knew about the 100 hours when they came. When they said that last meeting that they did not know about community benefits, they did know that. The interesting thing too is the 100 hours for a year was the same give back they had to give when they were on 92nd Street and when they came in here to give it. And last thing, and there'll be more things to say, when they found out we were meeting with EDC, because I've been the one emailing them, but you guys have been on the email, that's essentially when they said, oh, well, then why are we coming? Because they started to say that we are only interested in talking about the bonds, that we're not interested in talking about the community benefits. And I told them, I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I think it's all part of one conversation. And EDC told me that they encouraged them to come several times to tonight's meeting, which they've declined. They said, oh, but we'd like to keep talking in the future. And I said, well, with EDC now encouraging you to come to this table and you still refusing, I don't know how we're supposed to continue to talk to you in good faith. I didn't say we wouldn't, I just said, that how would we be?
We also sent them a list of questions.
That they answered very vaguely.
Basically, it was, for lack of a better term, it all went back to they just wanted to talk about the bonds and stuff, right?
Well, they had no, when I sent the questions originally, which never were able to get asked because the meeting, I understand, they told me, oh, these are great questions, right? But they didn't really get asked at the last meeting. So then I said, why don't you give us those answers before the next meeting? And there was absolutely no substance in them. They were like, oh, we're a year out, we don't know what we're doing,
It
blah,
was
blah, blah.
also something else that was mentioned in the meeting with EDC is this has been in the works for a few years now, before we even knew. There's like behind the scenes stuff of them submitting applications and stuff that.
There was a public hearing.
There was a public hearing that apparently was sent to our, to community.
Daily
board,
News
and we had
and one.
the staff, the staff said that they didn't see it also. So we told them the best way to contact us in the future.
Yeah.
And what was the last thing that I was gonna say?
Yeah, it's been.
Yeah, no, a lot of the answers to our questions was we're not allowed to give that information. So.
Were you guys allowed to get clarity on what exactly the obligations were for the NYC
Yes.
bill?
Yeah, 100 hours.
100 hours, 10 events.
No, because I asked because when I looked it up, there was a specific clause for public schools. And EHCP is not a public
We
school,
asked-
so what happened?
Well, no, technically, charters are considered under public schools.
Charters are public.
Charters are public
Public
schools.
school.
Regardless of how
They
anyone
are-
feels about
they are-
charter schools, they're here today. And they have done great work in the
No
community.
offense, I've
I
visited,
know,
I love you
I know,
guys.
look, we're not here to focus on
Right,
whether
and
people agree with
East
charters or
Harlem's
not.
editorial.
They have done a lot in this community.
No, I just wanted to know because I was trying to understand how they qualified. If when I looked it up, it was very specifically supposed to be for plain Jane public schools and, you know.
Well,
large
public,
markets.
I know it sounds plain
We should
Jane.
follow up and see what they
I
have
know.
done with the 100 hours of who
Well,
they've done it with.
Well, when we asked in the meeting,
Those would be.
sorry, just so I can get back to, let me address that quickly. Public schools are charters and like DOE public schools. Under like the law of New York City or something in the city charter, when it's charters are considered public schools. So it's not even a matter of whether, like, the letter isn't really the qualification that we're questioning here.
Mhm.
They didn't even need a
also are
letter.
supposed to self.
The letter was not, didn't they say in the meeting that technically they don't even, NYC bill doesn't even
It's more
require?
formality.
Right,
It's
but
more
it's not even a
formality, yeah.
requirement.
But the thing is with the hours is something that me and David brought up was they self-report those hours. It's not verified.
Yep.
Whether they actually did community events or not.
And the 100 hours is based off of, that's the same thing for everybody, like everybody who participates in this bond, it's the same number.
It seems to be.
It's
I don't
10
think we
events
follow.
or 100 hours?
It's 10 events and 100
10
hours.
events and.
Like they basically can't hold like 20 hour, you know, cause you know people will find weird ways to get around it, but the
Yeah, they'll say
problem
like
is.
10 hours.
Well, that's what I was wondering, with the events, the hours during the events count towards the.
Right.
I believe so.
So it's 10
Right, so
events
it's
or
really-
100? Oh,
It's
so it's,
both, it's
oh, it's
both,
both.
it's
I see
both.
what you're saying, but it cuts into.
It was both, cause I remember I asked that, yeah, it's both.
Okay.
So that's the information we have. We asked them if there's something that could be done about it.
So the community board would be.
They couldn't really,
That's the meeting.
they couldn't really, like, they were like, oh, we can't really withdraw the funds, but we can hold them accountable. I was like, how do we hold them accountable? They're like, we can't really answer that.
They're, Madison.
Oh, sorry, they're here. I'm so sorry.
May I ask, hi EDC?
Hello. How are you?
I just wanted some clarity on like how so we're not able to get any retribution in this situation whatsoever from my understanding.
In terms of retribution, you mean in terms of the facility sharing agreement?
Yeah, and honestly, sorry, very quickly, I do think that there should be some level of the minimum for community engagement or community sharing, facility sharing, whatever, it should be different for our community if the base is 100 hours, simply because this is a $120 million project and 38% of our school population doesn't even have a proper competition-sized gym. So how exactly did this what happened?
So essentially, and for folks who are not familiar, my name is Madison Hernandez. Apologies for not being able to come in person today. I'm homesick with COVID, but I will say that I'm with the government and community relations team, not the Build team, but the Build NYC program for folks who aren't familiar. It allows nonprofit organizations to access tax-exempt bond financing for capital projects. And so EDC's role in this administers the program and serves as a conduit issuer, meaning that we facilitate the bond issuance and ensure eligibility requirements are met. So the clause that you're referring to is the facility sharing agreement that is specifically for private schools who apply for the Build NYC program. And so that is a standard clause that is not adjusted for the specific applicant that comes to us. So if you're a private school, that you're all subject to this standard clause, which is 100 hours, a minimum of 100 hours across 10 events, a minimum of 10 events, excuse me.
I understand that, but I'm wondering, right, when essentially, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, guys. Essentially, a break was given to them. You know what I'm saying? We're held to a standard, but they're not being held to a standard, quite honestly. So how is it that we have to still maintain, why do we still have to be held to a 100-hour minimum standard if this project didn't even respect the standard that was set by EDC coming in? And then that leads to my next question is, are we not like, what are the exact reasons why we cannot file a report with EDC against this project now at this point? Because I don't know if you guys were in the meeting, but there, even outside of whatever loopholes, let's just be honest, my personal opinion, not a reflection of the board, whatever loopholes you guys have set up, like, there was a whole lot of dishonesty that went on, straight up.
Yeah, and I watched the board meeting from February, and I hear the board's concerns and your concerns loud and very clear, and these same concerns were brought by the leadership of this board last week when we spoke. I will say that as of right now, they are not out of compliance with the requirement because the facility sharing agreement kicks in, when the facility is constructed. And so since the building is still in construction, that requirement has not kicked in, but there is a period of negotiation that the community and that we as Adem had mentioned, we have asked for the Nightingale School to come to the table so that when the requirement is kicked in, it reflects the needs of the broader community, as you mentioned, with a lot of the schools in the area not having the same access and resources that this school does.
So can I add to that? Yeah. So based off of what Kiera is saying, can that be changed now that the agreement is not active at the moment? So you said it's based off of negotiations. Can we raise the 100 hours until something more than that?
So that can be done between the school and the community. Unfortunately, the transaction is closed as of last year, so we can't change the terms of the agreement at this point.
Even with them being dishonest? Like, that just doesn't sit right.
Because last week.
They came before us dishonest and falsely presented what they were supposed to or not supposed to do. Like, how is that okay? How is it okay for somebody to get a 20-year low-interest loan and dishonest? Bank stuff, you sign, you lose it.
I said this in the meeting last week, y'all.
No, wait a minute, Ash. There's a question on the table. How are they allowed to be dishonest? And there's the shovel's still in the ground. The bricks are gonna be laid. In 20 years, they'll owe nothing to this community. But they will have the benefit that people in this community cannot be afforded. Adem?
If part of what they're supposed to do is, at least with that shared use plan, talk to us about what organizations would be partnering, et cetera, then that sounds to me like it would be a requirement. And then their refusal to attend this meeting, to have that conversation at EDC's request, sounds to me like then they would not be in compliance at the moment. We have no guarantee that they'll come back to this table. I have no reason to believe they will. They didn't just flat out refuse us, they refused you. So I mean, I actually would think they would not be in compliance at this moment. Is that not correct?
So what I will say is that, once again, I don't represent the school or condone the actions and how they've come to the table with this community. But what I will say is that the requirement that we have is that they, once the building is constructed, that they share the facility. And so since that is the requirement, they're technically not out of compliance. But we have encouraged them, and we do encourage them to come to the community to speak on how that facility sharing agreement should be built out.
So them coming to talk to us about how that would be used, that is not a requirement. They can just go ahead and share it however they want within the community without ever talking to us. Is that correct?
I don't want to say in those certain terms that is accurate.
Well, it's either it is a requirement or it isn't a requirement.
It's a requirement for them to share with nonprofits for a minimum of 100 hours.
To consult with the community board about which nonprofits they share it with.
I do not believe so, but I will confirm with the Build NYC team to ensure.
Because if it is, then they aren't in compliance. I think that's a fact then. Because they have now told EDC they will not come to the table. And you know why they won't come to the table? Because we had a meeting with EDC. I mean, how nuts is that? How are we supposed to trust anything they'll do? Or how are you supposed to trust that when they're holding it against us that we wanted to talk to you? That is literally when they found out we had that meeting scheduled, not coming. Go get your answers over there. You saw the email. So, I mean,
Yeah.
to me, there's no compliance here. There's no good faith. There's no talking. The second we want to get information, we're like, okay, then we're not interested. I mean.
And there are no consequences.
No, none. None.
For dishonesty.
There's no penalty for negotiating on false pretenses?
That was a fair question.
Oh.
They said they didn't know there was a commitment when they came. They said they weren't aware of any community benefit. And they clearly did know.
They came here last month and lied.
I know they did. I'm saying that.
They lied.
I'm saying it nicely, but.
And it's on record.
And can I say something? And we have all these legalities and all this stuff, but it's essentially the impact that it's gonna have on the children in our community. That is really the core of this. We can get into loans and bonds and all that stuff, but it's ultimately the impact. And I know people think this young lady's the only smartest person in the room. However, we all have, no, I had to say it because I thought that, I had to say it, but I'm gonna go back. Let me finish. Let me finish. The whole thing is about the community. That's why we're on this board. And it will affect our children who will walk by and see this facility, not have access. They get to pick and choose, whatever hours, 100 hours, pick and choose. And you know who's gonna hurt? Is the children of the community. And that's the bottom line.
I also think that it speaks poorly to EDC to some level. You know what I'm saying? What does this say for larger projects? Now they know that they can kind of just, let's be honest, do whatever they did for someone to turn a blind eye over there, and they'll be able to pillage whatever communities they feel like pillaging.
Well, to quote something someone said to me we have with EDC, it looks bad. It looks bad on you. Let's pretend that y'all just don't, I'm not saying that you don't care about our community or our kids, but let's pretend that y'all don't. It looks bad on y'all. It looks horrible on y'all. Because people talk. People talk, and you got all these other projects going on. I'm not gonna name the ones that are within our community going on right now. They're in the process of being hashed out. And y'all here letting stuff like this slide. We have schools where literally the gym is 2 classrooms.
Messed up.
So I guess our question is, what can is the reason why we can't rebut the way we need to because we need to do it through someone with a little more jurisdiction, or what's happening? What can we actually do here? What are the options?
I think that is a core part of the frustration that I think you all are getting at, is that EDC doesn't have the authority to force the community board to come to the table despite our numerous efforts to ask them to come to the table, such as the way that we are trying to now, since this has been brought to our attention. We have told them that with future amendments to their agreement that it's going to be held to closer scrutiny as a result, ensuring that there's community alignment. But there's limited amount of things that we can do. And we did commit to the board that we would talk to our legal team to see what options are available. But at this point, we believe that they're limited, given that the transaction is closed, which is not an answer I know that the community wants to hear and is certainly frustrating. And
I just have a question, right? I'm not trying to move forward, but I really want to ask this question because holistically, I think we will want to know this. I don't think we agree with any of the terms that was set previously for our community board, or our community, our district. So how can we change that, and what agreements can we come up with new projects coming into our community? Because we don't want the same thing to happen, this go under the radar, until Val, we cannot say anything and we have no jurisdiction, or you don't have no jurisdiction on what you help negotiate and to the terms that they got. So they got a 20-year lease in which, with no obligations after that, within the 20 years, they only have to do 2,000 hours and maybe 200 events. And it just don't sit right with us as a community board. I know that without even, you can tell, you can read the room, right? So in the moving forward, how can we, what are the things or measures that we can do to change that? Because I know we don't agree with these agreements as of today.
We can create a community access mandate.
All right, we have a bunch of people.
I was gonna say, find out-
Wait, but that was a question.
That was a question. I want her to answer the question first.
Happy to answer the question. I think one step that we have tried to take thus far is making sure that we have updated contact information prior to when these items go before a public hearing. We typically, and this project happened before my time, go to the elected officials in the community board to ensure that they know that this project is incoming so they can provide public testimony. We typically don't proceed with projects with local opposition. So if, as a hypothetical, if there was a lot of local opposition prior to the approval, then we would have ensured that there was some sort of alignment before proceeding. But starting with ensuring that this board and elected officials and community are aware of projects before they get to the point of public hearing is the first step.
Well, it's interesting because at the meeting, it was said that they were, I don't believe, Madison, you didn't say this, but it was somebody there said that they were surprised that this happened to us because it doesn't happen to anyone. So I guess the answer to your question, Malik, is treat us like everyone else. This hasn't happened to anyone else. Isn't that amazing? Did you just hear? If there's public opposition, these things don't happen. I think that if they got one random email sent to somebody and one thing in the daily news, I'm willing to bet that is, I really would like to see that. I would like if there's a record from EDC of projects that were opposed and stopped, what notifications were sent to those communities. I would like for them to go into record. They've sent the emails, they've sent the notices, they have them on record. I want to know those projects. What was the outreach to the community when there was opposition and it was stopped? I want to compare it to what was done with us. If that's something you could see if they could get us.
Obviously, you learn from every experience, right? That's the goal of this. This is an unfortunate situation. I appreciate Madison being here. Her and her team were not part of the initial concepts, right? So we can't blame them on a personal level, and it's brave of her just to be hearing on our huffing and puffing. So we appreciate you in that regard, Madison. Well, we would like to EDC because, as I said in the meeting, we do hold you accountable in that regard as a nonprofit as a whole, where it's very, I still find it very unbelievable that in your process for something this beneficial to anyone, community board approval is not a part of your requirement. Not just community, and we have someone who gave you a letter, which is not the issue, but community board approval should be part of this process. Because there's a myriad of different groups in any community that can give you letters, and you can get these projects passed very sneakily, as happened in this situation, right? It was very down low. I almost can't blame them because from a business perspective, they're doing what they want to do to get it done. We can hold them accountable because it's disrespectful. It isn't genuine. We have a lot of concerns about how they're even going to, because they're not walking these kids up all those.
No, they're not. They're not.
So they have these big coach buses where they're going to stop 108th Street. How much parking are they going to take? 108th Street is a very small street. They're going to go up. It's a lot of different questions. But for you, Madison, I would hope that you go back to EDC, and it's something that we're going to follow up on, where a community board is here for a reason, right? I don't think in any community in New York City, everyone has a community board, and anything EDC, any project EDC is looking at should have a positive view, a letter of support from that community board. And I don't see how that is not a requirement on your checklist, because you have a checklist. And if we had that in your checklist, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. They would have came to us with open hands and said, please, we need you and we want to work with you and we want to do anything possible to make sure that the community and these kids can play. And most of these kids, right, it's a wealthy school, so we'll say that summers are typically away. Like, how can our kids play there in the summer? How can they play on the weekends? How can they play? So these are things that we can learn from. We hope EDC takes this to heart and really makes that a requirement in your procedure, not just a, like, oops, like it happened and like, but then it could happen again.
Can I say
So,
something?
Just a minute, now I'll give you time. You said about opposition. We weren't aware that we should oppose anything, because we weren't aware there was anything to oppose. So even at this point, right, when we learned, it was already in the ground, right, to some degree. I'm part of building a building with a developer. I understand the process and how long it takes to get permits. So permits were done 4 or 5 months before something went in the ground, but we didn't know. So maybe you can help me understand, when can we begin the opposition to something we don't know that when it comes to us, it's already done? When do we have the avenue to oppose? And then I'll go to time.
Okay.
And then
we go to the gentleman, I'm so sorry. We do have to do board members first, it is a process.
I understand. Yeah, she sent that, so.
In terms of I think the best time to provide input is 30 days prior to there being a public hearing. We would send out an advance notice, and typically I would send out a personal touch point. In this case, I wasn't at EDC as of yet, but that would be the opportunity to provide input, to review the project. You would see it on our project website. You could submit testimony and as well attend the public hearing. And that would be the best opportunity if there was a concern or there was support in moving a project forward or stopping a project. That would be the window in which to do so.
So, we've spent a lot of time on this and it's very emotional because they're lies and all this stuff. But if I haven't sat in a room with schools like this, I've had 3 children go to 5 different independent schools. The amount of money and power, we want to how did this happen? How did this happen? It is all about influence, money. That's what happened. They can go behind because they are in bed with the who's to make things happen. And that is the reality of what happened here. Don't even try to figure out legality and how did they lie. I've sat at the table. I was on the annual function. I know how much money comes in and out of these schools. It is money, influence, and power, hands down. And that's all this is about. So we can try to pretend and, formality, there's no formality. When you got the money, you know who's who, you make things happen. And I've seen it. So I'm just speaking from experience, yes.
I would like to speak before you hear that you need to hear how the people who are homeowners in the community. But what I would like to still see pursued is if a president hasn't been set based on what the dean has said, it could be an example to reverse some of those actions, just so that those in the future will know that this can't happen, or if it's something like that would happen, what can happen because someone was penalized for it. And we're not talking about building a facility anymore. We're just talking about usage.
That's right.
So that's a point where I'm struggling with understanding how the usage of the facility, because we're not talking about building. And we should hear from the community how they're impacted. Yes. Like I said in the initial meeting we met, that building is going to be there forever. So we're not talking about 20 years. We're talking about forever.
Really quick questions. You said the minimum, of course, is 100 hours, 10 events a year. You said that's the minimum. Is there any case where an organization or a school like this goes above that? Has that ever happened? Has done more than the minimum?
That has happened. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, now I can.
Okay, perfect.
So-
Sorry. Yes.
Perfect. If the minimum isn't reached, is there any enforcement that you can do? And I think Russell was kind of alluding to this before. What do you do in the case when the minimum is not reached?
It is my understanding there are financial penalties for organizations that don't comply with that facility sharing agreement if they don't meet that minimum.
Every year?
Yes.
Perfect. That's it. That was my only question.
Hold on, because sorry, and then I promise I'll let you guys go. But it's also is super important to me because I think it's easy to meet the minimum if they've,
Yeah.
they don't have to disclose who they're meeting the minimum with.
We
So,
gotta put something in.
right, so the super marginalized.
We should be
Right,
putting
and
something in
that's what
place
they
for
said.
accountability.
It's self-disclosure.
What is that accountability?
No, but I'm saying like they need to be, they obviously need to be
Transparent.
assigned partners. You understand what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it a stack. The HCP is an excellent program, but they're extremely well funded. Like, it's an extremely well funded program with a lot of resources and a lot of connections. The schools that actually would need to be benefiting from the facility sharing agreement would be one of the number of public schools that you heard in the beginning of the meeting that barely have safe stuff going on in the buildings. So how would we be able to create that type of situation? Because it's not like they can actually be trusted to develop their own partnerships within our community, quite honestly.
That's the max and renegotiate the usage.
What benefit would there be to even this, if used right? How many, if they did 10 schools in a year, what real benefit would there be, even with this, if they did exactly what you're saying? Would there really be a benefit? What, one day, it's like a field trip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a benefit?
Well, I think we have to spend some time on this committee and in the board, looking at maybe what alternative givebacks they can give besides just being in the space, right? Recreating or refixing up a space that is in a school or something to that degree. So we could, that part of the thing is coming up with solutions, right? Because at this point, it's done. The stuff is in the ground, the school's gonna open in a few years, right? It's happening. So how do we partner, right? And again, with the dishonesty or not. But what I wanna do right now is, we do have some partners here. Gentleman was here, can you please state your name
Yes,
and stand up and, the floor is yours.
my name is Mike Sekaretcha. I live at 160 East 109th Street. I've always wondered how they were able to change zoning. That was one of the things I've been wondering. I first heard about this in October of 2024. I heard that the property had been sold to a school. Shortly after that, I called the community board to ask if they had heard anything about that. They absolutely had no idea what I was talking about. And I made subsequent phone calls until the last phone call that I made a few months back. You were aware of it. But as we were, I don't want to back up too much, but my question is, how is it going to impact the community with traffic?
Terribly.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What zoning change were they able to get there?
Well,
Do
they
you know?
got a 220-foot long property from east to west by 100 feet wide, north to south. They're taking up 98% of this property to the property line with a 26-foot wall on my property that runs to 220 feet. I was not aware of any of that.
So this, not all of this has been being done as of right when they bought the property, is that correct? Because if they're buying the land and they're doing it as of right, it wouldn't require a land use change. So
Well,
I'm
yes.
wondering, is there anything that,
There were like 10 properties and it had to be.
From my understanding that this was an as of right project. I can confirm, but I'm almost certain that this was an as of right project.
Another thing to find out.
well, that's why I asked.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
because
saying that that's correct.
The Third Avenue rezoning may take into effect with this. 'Cause we rezoned Third Avenue some time ago and
Right.
there's been a gap with that.
Which
So-
would allow them to go above the height
2017.
in between street.
Yeah, I don't know if it's.
Because there is a proximity to Third Avenue.
They're going almost 90, just below 90 feet.
It was like that.
Can you find out, Madison, if this was in fact as of right? Thank you.
I do agree with you with the transit, and Chair Public Safety. They would have to go up Third Avenue, come around on your block or a bigger block, and then come down and then make a left onto
They would be
108.
circling, if they go down 108, they would.
And that turn on
Go north
108,
on
108 Street, for those of you, is a very tight, it's a very tight street.
Yeah, you can't get through.
Low, very tight. And they would be circling around, if they couldn't find parking, people would be circling.
Which they would probably request parking from DOT at that point, and then people, residents would lose more parking from what is considered there.
And consider all the double, triple parked on Lexington.
Already. Well, it's right in front of
I mean, I used to park in that parking lot, because it was a cheap parking lot. But
Amy lives.
because I had an office on 106th Street, so I
I'm on
know how
the
bad
directly across from the school.
parking is terrible in that area.
Well, is there a threshold, or could you find out what would it require some kind of study into what would happen with the traffic patterns when something like this were to come in? Because, you know, it's a drastic change to what that mid-block usage would be, right?
Isn't that what they're supposed to do?
Well, I thought this, I think they only have to contact the MTA, interestingly enough, because of the proximity, I guess, to the subway. But I guess the concern here is this could be dozens and dozens of school buses, and I don't know if people have seen just what's happened with the Second Avenue subway when school buses have to stay outside the traffic, and that's on a major street. So, I mean, I would like to know what requires a threshold for a study with traffic patterns or parking spots being lost. I would assume there should have been something looked into with this, because it does sound like it's gonna create significant issues.
There are 2 other schools in the neighborhood within spitting distance of this project.
I was about to, sorry, just on that, on 104th Street is a similar width. The buses can't go down 104th Street to get up from DS72. We have to go through the yard gate and go up on Lex. But even when the buses stop on Lex, we have to like run the kids inside because we're completely blocking traffic.
50%. Right, and it's also safe to assume, because it's important to remember that this is not an actual school building, this is the athletic facility. So students are actually gonna be going in and out, back and forth, and they're probably actually gonna have more like a shuttle system. If y'all have ever seen Mount Sinai's shuttle system, they'll probably have something like that, going back and forth from 92nd over. So it's not like it's going to be just 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Mind you, first of all, a large portion of the students who go to school in this district use school buses. So that comes into play too. They get bused over here. But even outside of that, those shuttles are gonna be coming back and forth like every hour realistically every hour on the hour, if not every 2 hours.
You're not talking about games, that's parents, other schools, when they're playing each other games. So now you got parents from other schools, you got teams, 2 different teams coming.
And we have to make sure they don't change the parking thing. They can't change the parking.
One mic can't change.
At the least, could they give us a schedule or a projected schedule of what the events are?
They're not even here, I don't think they're gonna do that.
They're not even doing that.
Well, again, these are things we can ask, right, so that we can.
It's a request, it's, you know.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, we should be jotting that down though.
But you have bigger issues, like making sure they're not treated as a school to change the alternate side street parking.
So they're gonna block off the whole block.
Those are the things that we can make sure, or try to ensure that doesn't happen.
I'm telling
I mean, do they
And
have
I've seen
a
it.
school crossing there?
Because they're not gonna want all these people's interfacing
Honestly,
with
from a public
Put
safety,
speed bumps on the street, what are they gonna, you
So
know?
wait,
We're gonna block that. You're not even gonna be able to go down.
our suggestion for that school in particular and for the way it's set up is that they drop off their kids on Third Avenue. Third Avenue is a very large avenue, has a very large width, much easier to drop off.
For
The kids
Nightingale,
can walk.
Nightingale is
they're gonna
not
walk from
dropping-
Third Avenue to
Listen to
Nightingale?
me.
I understand that will be our, just so you're aware, this is going to be our
But
suggestion.
No, wait, guys, we're not listening here, guys, that's a great suggestion. That's actually an excellent
ain't
It
suggestion.
is, except it won't fly because
We
of
are
the
talking about-
pipeline.
we talking about safety.
They'll have to park
We
in the
talking about
street in
safety.
order to drop their
That's
kids
what
off, and they
we are,
have to go
safety.
past the pipeline. which is very
No,
busy.
the drop off is on the right, so the buses all drop off on the right, the bike lane is on the left.
So they have to cross the street.
They have to cross the
So
street.
they would have to.
They
They wanna have a gym in East Harlem, they should learn to walk in East Harlem.
They're not walking in East Harlem, I'm gonna tell you that right
I'm
now.
letting you know.
I love
All right, let's, you know, we're no longer having a meeting, we're having
I understand what you're saying, but
a
I'm just
discussion.
speaking.
You're the king of
Now,
that.
we also have East Harlem Story, and we've asked them to come. So we will give them the floor as well. Ingrid, hi.
Because we were also, sorry, just before Ingrid speaks, we were also told that you do work with Nightingale. So sorry, just wanted to give that
Sure, yeah,
context.
yeah,
That's also part of the reason. It's not just because of the letter of support. We were told that you all have worked with them before.
I'm not with him,
I gathered that.
Oh, no, I got it.
No, and
So I
he
would
clarified that.
I would
You live
like
on
to,
108th Street,
yeah, and
across
I would
from the
like to
school. I heard
speak
it.
about how.
And yes. So anyway, why don't we let her go before you?
I just don't want to give her my background. That's okay. So my name is Amy Tannenbaum. I live at 166 East 108th Street. I'm sure you know well about the architecture of the area. We live in row houses. And the beauty of a row house is that you have other row houses alongside of you that keep you together. When you don't have one on your other side, which I don't because I butt up against your famous parking lot, I'm in a very bad situation. And when we first met Nightingale, I spoke to them about that in depth. Why I should have to do that anyway is another whole story, but that seems to be the theme here. They have, as you know, been digging massively aggressively throughout this period. The bedrock is hard and their property is across the street of, I have my house, my setback, my sidewalk, the street, their sidewalk, and their property. My bedroom is in the back of the building, that's another 60 feet. My bed moves when they drill. It's a 600-pound steel bed. It moves and it moves every day and I filmed it. And now I have cracks on the side of my building. The two front doors don't click if you don't slam them shut. We found random people wandering around in the building and things are shifting. So I wrote to them several times. Nobody answered me. I wrote to Zabatnik, 3 times. They pushed me off. Then they called in the school. The school didn't, the woman, Genevieve, yeah. She called me, didn't write, and said, oh, they're gonna come, they're gonna send structural engineers, and they're gonna send geotech guys. She ghosted me. She said, I'm gonna do it next week. She ghosted me, didn't take my calls. I reached out to Zabatnik again. This is not how we play, right? This whole story. Reached out to them again, failure to know and respond. That's when somebody came back to me. So they finally sent one of the guys from Nightingale and a rep from Zabatnik to my home this past Friday. They said, we're gonna think about what's going on here. We're gonna get back to you. I don't know when, I don't know how fast. And I said to him, I just don't wanna come home from work and find the whole side of my building in the parking lot. Because that already happened on Lexington Avenue,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Lexington Avenue, those two buildings, they started to crumble. And you can see all the cracks on the side of my building now that are going horizontal and vertical. So that's something that they need to address right away. I think you know I'm not shy, so I will address it. And they need to take care. It's 108th Street, it's a tiny street. Already just with the trucks, with the movement, with the vibration, and now the cement trucks are gonna start to come, the rebar trucks are gonna start to
They
come.
already have.
Yeah, yesterday morning or something, right? Yeah, and then they're gonna start with the construction in the building, the vibrations are insane. And they never even thought for a second, they thought I was out of my mind, they never thought for 1 second to come and see if I was okay. They put vibration meters on the other houses that back up to it, but never came to me to see if I was okay and to take a look at where I was already. Then when the school opens, what's gonna go on?
and how much traffic and dirt and pollution and buses and triple park mothers with entitlement and everything else that's gonna totally destroy the fabric of the neighborhood.
That's right.
And then explain to the neighborhood why they are allowed to break all the rules, why they are allowed to triple park, why they are allowed to have all these amenities when everybody else is struggling to make everything meet.
Yeah.
Why are they? They could have picked any strip. How about all Third Avenue from 106th Street to 125th Street? There is at least 1, 2, or 3 boarded up brownstones the whole way up that have been there since I'm up here since 2000. So they've been up here since I've been up here. Why is the city allowing that? Why are they not becoming a part? Why don't they just raise that shit and build a school on an avenue like they should? There are all these things. There's a whole big picture here, but because of what this woman said, it's a very microscopic way of looking at things. It's me, it's good for me, I got cheap seats, I got into the neighborhood, and then they're gonna build a fence around themselves to protect themselves from the neighborhood. And I cannot wait until one of those first girls get pregnant by one of the guys on the block. Because I am gonna be there celebrating it. Because you know that that's gonna take 9 months.
Well, to your point, that is actually something to consider, right? Is like, how do we protect our youth when the obvious is happening?
Exactly,
and
because it's gonna come out at our youth, and they're the ones that are gonna go.
All it takes is for the wrong group of boys to be walking down a block.
And that's
or
what, Tony, you better talk about it.
That is 100.
You better talk about it.
I can understand that. So we
And
do
that's a
that
major
also
point.
needs to be a
That is.
I said it to the school too, by the way.
The wrong rowdy group of girls gets into a fight.
No, yeah.
And they're gonna come with their expensive bags and all this stuff.
The little cheap sandwiches.
Yeah, no, sir, it was like
Thank you,
bad drinks.
thank you.
So I think it's important to note that even beyond, like, it's beyond an equity issue now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it was done.
They
I
still wanna
just
talk.
wanna heard that. It's a human rights issue now.
No, it's not. They still got the floor. Let them talk to you, talk.
She says she.
I'm okay.
does.
She's done.
I think I
Anybody
made
else
the
have to
point.
speak? Because they're fighting
Okay,
out.
so we are going to move to Ingrid, who has spent many times in this board and has worked with us in many different ways, so we welcome Ingrid. Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting us this evening. It's nice to see many familiar faces, and some new faces. For those that don't know me, I'm Ingrid Sotelo, currently working with the East Harlem Tutorial Program. I have been there for 5 years, served in different capacities, currently serving as the Chief Operating Officer. I can confirm, and I'm joined here by Marina Cofield, our CEO, who can, if I miss anything, please add on, Marina. Yeah, absolutely. So certainly want to confirm that we did support Nightingale with a letter from our board chair that pretty much shared the reason we shared that letter of support with them was because we have worked with Nightingale for over 12 years when it comes to projects such as volunteerism for our students. We've done coat drives with them. We've done different holiday gatherings with them. They also come and tutor our students, and this is an ongoing relationship that we have with Nightingale, where some of their students come to our school. If you don't know the history of EH2P, we have been in the community since 1958. Started in someone's living room on 105th Street and 2nd Avenue, and it started as a literacy service for the community to be able to have a free space for our youth here in East Harlem. And in the early 2000s, we opened up our first charter school in the community at the Jockey Robinson campus, 106th Street and Madison Avenue, followed by 2 additional schools in the community. Scholars 1 is located on 105th Street and 2nd Avenue. We're also being affected by the MTA, so whenever there's a need there, we would love to attend to give you all some information on how that's impacting our families. And recently, about 2-3 years ago, we opened up a high school in the East Harlem community. And our East Harlem community hasn't seen a high school since over 60 years. That's located on 104th Street and 1st Avenue. So I just want to confirm that we did share that letter with them. And that is due to the relationship that we have with Nightingale. All the information that I'm hearing this evening is new to us. We certainly, in having conversations with Nightingale about this project, as you know, David, I have worked with community boards many, many years of my career, and expressed to them that it is absolutely vital that they work with Community Board 11 when it comes to this project. We are not involved in that process, so many of the information that was shared tonight is very new to our ears. And I think, to the extent that we can be of support to the community board in connecting with Nightingale, if there's still space or room for that, we are, happy to be able to support there. Certainly, they've been good partners to us when it comes, again, to the services that I've shared with you all. And so, yeah, it's disappointing to hear what we're hearing this evening, as your experience with Nightingale certainly is not the experience we've been having with Nightingale in the years that EHCP has worked with them, and in the years that I have worked with Nightingale when it comes to different services and support for our family members and scholars of East Harlem. So I think, I want to offer, and I'm sure Marina, you would agree, that to the extent that we can support in, communication, we would welcome that opportunity. I think I would also remove my hat of EHCP and just say that I live in the community. I'm born and raised in East Harlem, and I live on 104th Street. And certainly, as a community member, am disappointed to hear how Nightingale is moving. Certainly is not how we have shared with them that, they should embrace our community. And so I think, when I hear of all the different asks that we have, PS72, you name it, I went to that school, for elementary school. And certainly it is disappointing to hear that the bathrooms, there's never any money to fix the bathrooms. So I think that, in my humble opinion, it would be great that as a community board, you feel empowered to ask for the things that you would like as a partnership from Nightingale, and not shy away from sharing that with them, even though they're not here tonight.
Karen, quickly.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, I
both
was
for
just
being
gonna say
here.
that.
I would like to say that this wasn't the original reason they were gonna come here, but they were very open to shifting.
Right.
Excuse me, sorry. Karen Russell. This wasn't the original reason they were supposed to be here. And I'm grateful for Ingrid for pivoting and coming here to discuss this, thank you. And, yeah, so I saw, sorry.
Yes.
I totally forgot your name, I'm so
That's
sorry.
totally fine. No, this is my first time here, so nobody's going to know who I am. I'm Marina Cofield, and I joined EHTP as CEO a little over 2 years ago. So I've been working with the community and was involved when Nightingale approached us about writing a letter of support. And what I can say is that, certainly just like Ingrid said, the decision to write that letter was really based on our long partnership with them and the positive experiences that we've had with them and their students coming and volunteering in our schools and raising funds for our programs and for our kids and just generally working together with this. The other thing I would say is that one thing that I did hear from you all that that I think we should keep in mind, for us, when we were talking about having a partnership with them, when they were beginning to tell us about building this athletic facility, I think that we, like you, on some level, we're thinking about, okay, well, you're coming in, you're building this building, how can our East Harlem students benefit from the facilities that you're putting in place, that you're building this gorgeous building with, gyms, tracks, fields, and all this, and all these great, amazing spaces. How can kids in East Harlem also benefit from those spaces? And the conversation that we had with them was around is there some opportunity for some of our kids to take advantage, maybe like you were saying, at them in the summer, or maybe after school, or things like that, when you're not using it. I will now also say, having listened to you all, and I see you looking at me, that we do have gym space in our new high school building. And to the extent that there are other public schools in the community, I say other public schools, I do think that all of our schools are public schools, that there are other public schools that don't even have any gym space, that they should share the building, not just with us. We're not trying to monopolize the opportunity, but to me, like, the kids who need it the most should be the kids who have that opportunity, and certainly like that would be something that we need support. I can also say for myself, I've been here working in the charter sector for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I was working in the DOE for 11 years. So like I fully like appreciate and support the work that the traditional public schools in the community do. And I feel like to the extent that, you know, there are kids in the community who don't have ample space to run and play and compete and grow, like that's who we should be advocating to use the space, 100%.
Adele, Kiera.
Am I gonna mute? I'm just saying, so we confuse.
Sorry.
I wanna move things along in general, then.
You go first, my question's quick, go ahead.
Okay, so from my understanding, let's keep it a stack here. You wrote the letter because you knew that your students would benefit from it.
We wrote the letter primarily as to testify to the partnership that we've had. So what we were saying in the letter, and I think we could probably provide you with a copy of it if we haven't sent it, right? If you have the letter, was to say like that they shared with us that they were looking to establish that they had community partners here in East Harlem. And so we were testifying to the fact that like they are our partner, that we have been working with them, that we've had a positive relationship with them, that we've had a positive partnership. And sure, in our mind, like if we're supporting them in this way, our hope is that they are going to be, and one of the things that they presented to us was that they were looking to also open their building to community kids and to provide a benefit to kids in the community by having this space.
So Deb, and then I wanna wrap it all up.
Two quick questions. So when you did ask them, and not just specifically for you guys, just in general, what they would do, what they were concerned for the community, did they give you any feedback on what they would do?
We did not get, I think they gave us similar to what they've given you all. There was no details.
Okay.
Like, we have not negotiated any number of hours or any number of events or any times of day or months of the year. Like, that has not been, it's been very just general, like, it would be great if our kids could use the space sometime.
Right, so then you
Okay,
signed.
the second question, I know you have gym space, I don't know what their situation is with their school, and maybe I missed this, I've heard they go to your school and they'll tutor. How often have they welcomed the students from your schools into their school to get tutored or come in and
Right.
do things there?
And honestly, so the way it works is, we haven't wanted to have to take our kids down 92nd Street to get tutored.
Why? I'm gonna be honest.
Because we run an after-school program in our building, after
Yeah,
school.
why would you take them
And our
somewhere else?
kids.
Right, let's remember why we're here.
I mean, that
This
makes
is a
sense.
good
That
part of our
actually makes a
community.
lot of sense.
I'm not,
No, I know,
I just wondering if there was a
To
reason.
expose
someplace
our
we
East
shouldn't
Harlem
go.
children to.
We need to move to solutions and what are the next steps,
I think-
right? That's what we need to.
But
move.
I
We're not
also
gonna
think,
get
but now,
those.
hold on, I think it's important that if we're all sitting in the room, I think it's important that CBOs and structures like ours stand in solidarity and understand what we're gonna do moving forward, right? It's not about mulling over things over and over again, but it is about understanding that if you're a CBO in East Harlem, it don't make no sense at all to sign no letter when you haven't been given any promise before you sign the letter, because it hasn't done anything for our community. And I love EHTP. I visited EHTP myself within my own work, like in East Harlem. And I think it's a really cool program, but we have to call it like it is. Y'all are one of the more well-funded programs. And in my personal opinion, y'all are like, if we're looking at the spectrum of actual needs within this community and where students end up, y'all are one of the more privileged programs. So for Nightingale to have even asked you for a letter, was it like, it was kind of like boys clubbing, if you will. So now let's take it a step further, right? Like, so what I mean by solidarity is that as a community, we have to decide that we are not going to throw each other under the bus. Because whether you realize it or not, by not having questions answered, you threw your constituents under the bus. And that's my only point in saying that, right? Is that now moving forward, which is another point that I wanted to make before we move on, which is moving forward, I think that we need to have a community access mandate, period. If you are a CBO entering East Harlem, moving forward, before you step foot in this neighborhood, you need to come with a plan of how you're going to give back to us. Because to be perfectly honest, they came here and they told us about the partnership that they have with EHCP. And as a, as a me, it sounded like the help. It sounded like tax write-offs.
They do.
Straight up. There's no other way to put it. To me, as someone who was born and raised in East Harlem, Black and Puerto Rican, that to me did not sound like actual partnership, nor is it a reflection of the partnerships that I want to see with Nightingale in the public schools in our community. I don't want to see rich kids coming in and showing them, hey, here's a slice of life, and this is how smart you can be if your parents have tuition money. Like, come on. That's not help to me. But that is where I will leave it at. So moving forward, I hope that as CBOs continue to come to you guys, or like other projects come to you guys, because y'all are gonna be one of the first points, right? Obvious. I would hope that we stand a little bit more solidarity and just wait till we get an actual plan, and maybe even pick a couple of schools, because y'all are right by, y'all are just 2 blocks up from 72. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have full gym facilities, and to be quite honest, y'all also are privileged enough to share your facilities with public schools.
But yeah, she did mention that. She did share that.
We opened up our facilities to the community on the
72 is 3 blocks up from
weekend.
you guys.
Again, we're not here to fight
She said
that
on the
battle.
weekend.
That's
There's a
fine.
different
All right,
battle.
well, I'm stating my
I
case,
know.
and that's it, and that's that. Moving forward, I
She's
hope that we
correct,
can
though.
move in solidarity, and I think I also have the right to be upset.
Yeah.
So let's, because I also, and I'm gonna say this one time for the one time, I'm gonna keep it very cute, but this committee has to stop trying to beg for scraps from people in the community. This is a community
You know, I
board.
take a little offense to that.
No,
As a
okay,
committee
David, you
member,
can, but I
I
still
don't
wanna
beg for
finish what I'm
anything.
saying. No,
But
David, you
Kira-
can, but I wanna finish what I'm saying. You can take offense, but I wanna finish what I'm saying. Because I have now, I understand, I have massive respect for you, David. I have massive respect for many people at this table. However, I will say what I am noticing. This is a community board. This is a government, this is an actual government affiliated board. We do not need to be we really don't need to be making nets with everybody. We don't. We need to be making demands. We're at the precipice of gentrification and displacement in ways that this community has never seen before. We do not need to be playing nice with every single person who comes into this neighborhood. Not when there are millions and millions and millions of dollars that people are saving just to build properties here, just to buy the parcels, not even building yet. That's my piece. I have massive respect for everybody at this table, but I do think we gotta bear some teeth. We don't have to bargain with people. This community was built off of activism and resourcefulness and the arts and community. We don't have to continue begging. And I'm not saying that and that's not an affront to anybody. It's just no, I don't want to continue to, I don't want to continue hiding, holding my tongue for people who don't even know what my neighborhood looked like 20 years ago.
I just wanted to say one quick thing about our school played, your school. I was the basketball coach, and we weren't allowed to use a gym. I used the locker. And all of our boys had to throw all their things in a hallway. And the entire time that we played the game, we were disrespected, we were treated really badly. We've never played a home game in our school because we don't have a gym. And it was the one time we were playing you guys. And I'm telling you, from my personal experience, to agree with Kira, we felt very disrespected when I was there. That was just one basketball game.
Thank you for sharing that. It's important for us to hear that, because that's absolutely not how we would want to represent ourselves.
Thank you. I wouldn't
that is,
think you.
I'm just gonna apologize to you. That is not how I would want our organization to treat our neighbors.
I just wanted to back up.
And again, it's not a front to you.
It's not, no, I was just saying.
What if you get close to the gym?
Yeah.
You parked outside.
Can I ask, was it the First
It was
Avenue?
last year, First Avenue.
The First Avenue.
Yep.
We need to take care of that. 'Cause
Did
that's
you
not-
win?
And we won.
They had to.
After that.
All right, so we want to create a win-win situation, right? And as we move forward, what would be the next steps that we would look to take, right? We want to request that they come back and meet with us again. to keep it done.
They're not coming. They not
Maybe we can use what Ingrid extended as a way to bridge a partnership to sit back at the table, right? Again, what are we interested in doing going forward? We did okay, we know what the problems are, right? What are the next steps to address those things and make change and implement change? Because that's where it is. We can sit here till hell come tomorrow and continue to talk about what ain't right. Now that we know and we've identified what is not right, what are our steps to move forward, to create a win situation for the community? They got their win. Where is our win? What do we want to see? We've also talked about maybe not trying to just always get in the facility, but what can they do to upgrade some of our own parks and playgrounds in the community?
Right.
There are other givebacks that maybe we could request that they do. Because what they could tell us is they got games in that building all day long, till 6, 7 o'clock at night, where there won't be time. So what is our plan? You know, again, we can't keep coming and knocking something down without something to build back up. And if we want something, what is it that we want?
Come on, Karen.
And then,
I have a completely different stance from everyone at this table, so I'm gonna be quiet and I'm gonna let the board handle things how y'all see fit to handle it.
Again,
I would like to- I wanna hear you, yeah.
You're voicing your opinion.
Cause you've been on a good
They
roll.
outright disrespected us, and I
Yeah,
told
yeah,
y'all
that's
from
what I
last
heard.
month's meeting that they were not coming back. I literally said,
You did.
let's file the complaint right now because they're not coming back. These people don't care to meet us halfway in any way, shape, or form. Why are we
Let us
still
finish.
talking about meeting them halfway if they have literally spat in our face? They have
because
spat
you
in
know
our
why?
faces.
They're gonna build it and they're gonna live in it, and there ain't nothing else we can do unless we negotiate something. After 20 years, it's done. It's theirs. They're walking it out. So again, we gotta get somebody at the table. Or maybe we file a lawsuit to
That's what I'm
stop
saying, we
it.
gotta press
That was
them.
my
We
thinking,
have to do
Cynthia.
something.
We file a lawsuit. They were dishonest,
That's
they
right. We have to press
misrepresented.
them. They can't get away with
Again,
it.
what EDC said, there's a point when we can oppose it. Well, they didn't give us that. They lied, they deceitful, under the community. When did y'all know? I don't care when y'all know. When did we know? When did we find out? And the way we found out was dishonest. Was sitting here, as Kiara said, lying to our face. But I also learned, when you need something from somebody, you want something from somebody, you can't beat them up to the point where they don't come back to the table. Because then we've given them what they wanted. And what they wanted was, we did our piece, we done. And right now, they're saying they're done. So what are our steps to go forward to stop that? I mean, legal is the only thing I can think.
Public. I call every news station. We go there, we stand in front of it, and we can't be afraid. They're not at the table. We won't trust them if they come to the table.
That's right.
They can, we can give them an ultimatum and say, these are committees. I think EDC needs to come to us with some information that we asked for. We gotta figure out what the real number is, what they're saving. We need to figure out, are they not in compliance now because they refuse to engage with us on the benefits? And if we find out certain things and we realize we don't have much leverage there, and they don't wanna sit down with us, then a lawsuit's an option, nonstop going. I'm not talking about going there one time, I'm talking about calling every, this is something every
Elected
news outlet would
yes.
pick up if the board wanted to.
I agree.
Jennifer.
Go ahead.
I think everyone has pretty much said it, but I think we should vote on something today because we were like a millimeter away from voting last meeting, and we said this is your one saving grace for us not to vote on some sort of resolution.
Good point.
And so I think we need to vote on something today. Because
Yes.
we're not here. That's like we
That's
did
disrespectful. I'm sorry.
we compromised last time because we thought was where we were headed.
Well, we were working in good faith.
Yes.
And they went out.
But but when we're talking 100, I'm sorry, but there's no good faith after like $10 million.
What we lose.
So we're talking about a lawsuit?
What we lose sight of, that we working in processes. We gotta be able to think about things that we can do that are doable. We gotta talk about things that we talk about penalizing people, things that are enforceable. We gotta think about all of those types of things. We are representing a community board. We all have our own individual parts of the neighborhood we live in. We all get offended certain ways. People need to know how we operate, but we're not beggars, but we actually, the things that we benefit from are like beggars' pots. Right? We're not beggars. It's based on the understanding that we have as individuals to make us collective. We have to educate each other. Our community partners need to know when the station that you're in, how you're being perceived being in the neighborhood. I'm a lifer here, I think more than anybody. So I'm saying whether a honorable school, reputable school, or whether you are elitist, into what group in your neighborhood. I drive by all the time, so we see who's going to your school, who you're recruiting, what parents are sending their kids to your institution, who you're partnered with. So if you're partnering with certain people in our community, you might be with them too, rightfully so. All right, so we gotta understand the perception that we have for each other. We have to have the understand this is new to this community. Well, I'm in Columbia University when they took the whole neighborhood. It did the same thing. They said they want to get back $184 million. But when it came time, or don't quote me on the exact hundreds of millions of dollars, but when it came back for the community to benefit from, Columbia University hides behind the third party and said, we tried. So when this happens over and over again, so it's about wealth and poverty, or wealth in the average. When wealthy institutions can come into a neighborhood, and then in the part of negotiation is they're willing to do it. They're willing to promise, but then they will not deliver. So we have to understand all those things that's going on.
So last month, the resolution that Kira said, because I took the notes. The minutes, sorry. Following discussion, a motion to give Nightingale Bamford School a 1-month deadline to return with a facility sharing mandate, including plans for designated staffing for a community liaison, and that failure to return next month, which would be today, would result in filing an issue for non-compliance. Was made by Kira Jerez.
Now, the issue with that is, ED said that they are compliant.
Again, and we gotta talk about something that's.
No, but we talking about them coming back here with a plan.
Yeah, they did
That
not
they would
honor.
present a plan to us.
So is the filing for non-compliance enforceable?
Okay, they already, that's what I'm saying, we can make proposals. But
Yeah.
We should be making motions on things that are doable and enforceable.
So
First things
So
first.
if EDC cannot get them to come to the table, what are we doing?
Well, I think we need to collaborate I'm sorry.
So help me.
Yeah, is there something the full board could do?
No, I'm just saying, we wanna be intelligent about the actions that we're taking.
Correct.
Well, okay.
Doable and enforceable, and by whom? So
Okay.
we pissed off, okay, we'll get more pissed off if we try to do something.
I was just saying what Kira's motion was.
That was.
So, but this motion is that they come to the board. It had nothing to do with what they were to do for them.
No.
But as a board.
So we don't know, they're probably in compliance, but we don't know, right? Madison said she's gonna find out if their refusal to come and talk to us today is possibly gonna put them out of compliance. That's step one. Step two is, we can take whatever position we want, but like Russell said, if it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't mean anything, right? Here's the other part of this, right? I'm not really afraid of scaring them away from this table because there is a minimum that they have to do. And I think it's becoming pretty clear that getting more than the minimum, I don't know if it's gonna happen. So if we chase them away, we're not getting zero, we're getting what they were gonna probably give us anyway. So I look at it like we're playing with house money here. I know there's multiple angles to how to look at this, right? It's not that we're not just being wronged by them, we're being wronged by this process. We're kind of being wronged in every direction. EDC has said that there's leverage in future requests on this property, but I didn't hear what I really wanted to hear, which is unless they come to this table and meaningfully negotiate with us, then that should be, there are gonna be no more requests accommodated that they make, period. Not, we're gonna strongly consider it, we're gonna think this. As things stand now, if this relationship is the way it is, at this moment, you should not accommodate any requests they make moving forward. End of story. In this community, not in this community, at their school, period. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if we're not gonna get both sides to sit down and work with us, I don't know what, a lawsuit's a good idea, they're gonna hire, I don't know if we could be in a lawsuit, I don't know if we have the ammunition. But, and it's respectful, right? But we don't really take the fight out, right? We do it in here, 7 people watching on YouTube, and they're not gonna be very fazed by that. But this is exactly the type of stuff that I'm talking about not that, all the news channels would pick this up if we wanted to. Now, we don't have to do that yet. We gotta see, is there leverage? Use it. Are they in compliance? And I think these answers are not hard to get. This is simply a matter of, we could get this information tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned. So I would like it by the end of the week from EDC, please, Madison, it's not on you, but push them to confirm with us that you will not accommodate any request as things stand currently, and that let us know if there's any way they are not currently in compliance. I think when we get those answers, we can go from there. And you guys can make a motion tonight, but if we're getting that information after the fact, we're happy you can all come and sit in executive, and we can take this information there and always make a motion, or it could be a motion at full board. So don't feel like you gotta push all the chips in right now when we don't have the info. We can make this at full board. This wouldn't be in effect till full board anyway. So that's all I'll say.
I had made a suggestion that not take a loss as a loss, and I said to, I forget her name now, how could we set a precedent that put forth as the community board an action to make that unjust action reversible by example, because they did that in a false representation under the table, behind everybody's back, tricking people to get a letter of support. To support them, how do we get that reversed to the point where it goes back to negotiation? We're not talking about, no one I thought talked about building a building, but the community that homeowners are talking about the impact of them building the building. We're not talking about that any longer. We're talking about usage. How do we get to the point where we can reverse it to get usage? I think that might be something to, with public demand, community understand how it was raped.
Well, the issues raised could bring us to other committees too.
Yes.
So issues that have been raised with cracks in your buildings and the transportation, this could, whatever it's gonna take to get them to do it right. With you guys, with the usage, we're gonna explore, I think, and exhaust all those avenues.
We are concerned about usage as well.
Oh, I know you
Not
are.
only about our needs or
Unlike Nightingale, who thinks that things can be compartmentalized, bonds and benefits, we don't see it that way. This kind of touches on everything. And so just because you're saying a certain concern, I know you share all of those, and we do too. This is just one committee, it's where it came, but I think Jose has already talked about the transportation issues. You bring up housing issues. There might be potential land use issues. Why wasn't there a need for an environmental impact study? Or if there was one, why haven't we seen it? There's a lot of avenues to go down here, and I think we gotta exhaust every one of them till we can see what's gonna give. Because something will give. Some things, right, we gotta press every button and one will go.
Jennifer, Nilsa, and then Todd.
Okay, so this isn't a role, but if I was queen of this committee, I would say we issue a letter today that requests from EDC that they do not approve or negotiate any further with them on any of their asks. I think we should get news channels involved. I know City Limits has been doing a lot of stuff around pour doors, which to me, this is just kind of like a pour door to a gym in a sense. I think increased community engagement and reaching out to more community members, because I'm sure there's more than just a few that are here that are having these issues. So if we can get a collection, maybe like a letter from the community. And
I'm so sorry.
like Russell was saying, if we cannot get the changes done this time, how can we ensure moving forward that this will never happen again, and that EDC makes sure that there needs to be a fair share of usage going forward? So those would be my 4 suggestions for today right now. I wrote them down.
Nilsa, and then Todd. You wrote them down?
I wasn't gonna remember.
Nilsa, and then Todd.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We got, you have our attention.
So I've been listening to this meeting outside, working on district meetings, and I want to applaud everyone for their high spiritedness and their suggestions. Jennifer touched on what I was gonna say, but I want us to be realistic. And I speak from a place of being in this community for over 65 years. You don't always get what you want, and things are never always fair. And the community board under the new leadership is looking to advocate and be stronger in positions that have gotten by us in the past. This is not just an issue with Nightingale and EDC. It is with all agencies in the city of New York who places things and agencies here more than our fair share. And the fact that the board in the past has not learned how to advocate appropriately based on what is needed. And always thinking that you're going to have a second chance to fix a problem, and then a lot of times it doesn't happen. So I agree with Jennifer that I think the word has to get out on this, but I think the pressure also has to be not only on EDC, but HPD and all the agencies that take this community for granted and take the people that have been here trying to fix the issues and want a better quality of life. I just don't think that we may get at this point, just tonight, what you want. But I think you need to be clear, what is it that you want and what is acceptable? An environmental impact plan should have been filed, because whenever there's construction, even though it's on an empty lot, usually when you're constructing on an empty lot, and I talk about this because I'm in the facilities, if there's a building next door, they have to ensure that that is not gonna cause a problem. If you're across the street, then they may not feel that to the extent that they're impacting you. However, no one can say, a lot of the housing stock is very old, you have cracks that you don't see, the foundation is shifting, go to 120th Street, you can see a building that's like this. So what I'm saying is, as a committee, right, you're talking about a lot of things, and there's a lot of passion. But what's your next step? What's your plan of action tonight? Is it that you're going to do a motion? What does that exactly mean? If you're going to work as a committee through the leadership, and that will okay what you do, who are the people? Are you gonna reach out to the city limits? I used to have a good relationship with them. What is it that you wanna see, and what's your first steps? Because you can't do it all. And that's gonna be unrealistic, because there's so much that you want to do, but I would suggest that you put it in steps. But definitely holding our electeds accountable. Don't tell me this happened in a vacuum, right? Whatever it is. Am I saying that Nightingale is not welcome here? I can't say that because I don't know them that way. I do know that this community is the best community I know, and it deserves the best. And it does not deserve being looked at in a certain way because you're a certain color or you're such from a social economic status that is not yours. Because every person in this room cares about this community. And people have put their life savings into home ownership in this community. And when you say, and anybody says, oh, we have purchased a land that's near our school, I will tell you that children from 92nd Street, unless they're tough and of a certain color, do not feel comfortable working in this community and will come in here looking at the community citizens like we are a new species. I will not be disrespected, nor will I have my community disrespected. And so know that I am pledging my support to our new chair and vice chair and the leadership, Asher and David and all who have said something here, to ensure that at the very least, when you deal with this community, that you know that you're dealing with something of value and people of value that deserve your respect.
Right.
And I'm not gonna say anymore, because I will continue and I don't need them to be alone. So with that said, please realize that everyone who's here cares about those who are here now and those who are gonna be coming in the future. And that is your responsibility. Anyone who comes into this community should come in as a partner and not under a rock.
And
Thank you, Nessa.
I'm basically agreeing with what they said because the disrespect, and she already said it, came from, I'm coming into a community that's Black and brown. They didn't think we were educated enough. They didn't think we were gonna hold them accountable. So I agree that there should be an action plan, something obtainable today. And y'all know I don't like staying late, but I will stay late because I'm very passionate about this. And I feel very much disrespected. They did not, they wasn't expecting what happened when they came. They didn't expect us to hold them accountable. They didn't expect Kira to have the knowledge that she had. They didn't expect it. And let me just say something about EHTP, no offense. A lot of my friends grew up going to EHTP. EHTP is safe for them to get a letter from. The history of it was white people would come in, wealthy white people, to tutor and mentor Black children. It worked, but it's safe. It's a cushion. It feels safe. So you go to them, and no offense, because I've had many of my family members. My family grew up in Franklin Plaza. They all went through EHTP. And I remember the white tutors coming to the house, picking up the kids, and oh, this is we got to stop that. We got Black educated, Black and brown educated people right here. And don't let them think they're coming in, we're going to save the little poor people. No, we're not having it. So that's why they went to EHTP for the letter of support. It's safe. They got the beautiful building. We don't got to go into people with no gym and, the little messed up bathrooms without ventilation. Okay? So let's not have it. And I'm telling you, I'm coming from the other side. My children went to those schools. They're going to come in here and look at y'all like you're crazy. Then they're going to be mad because we're going to run them out. Because when our kids see them and you think you better and you come, watch what happens.
We know what's going to happen.
They don't even know what they're getting involved in. So let's have some action plan that's obtainable, that we know we can get. I don't know what it is. Y'all have to figure that out.
We're not gonna necessarily solve, well, I get you in a minute. We do need to come up with what our plan and our asks are, and that's what we have to spend our time, not just tonight.
And no, we were disrespected. That is it. We were.
Yes, and I'll just say this in all disclosure, my 13-year-old daughter's in the after-school program at 171. It's a community, and I work with children's agencies.
I know, we appreciate your inviting us here, and we came here because we were there.
Okay, yes. And we want to yes. Yeah.
That's also not.
Oh, I wasn't aware. I'm sorry. That's my apologies.
No, it's fine.
Sorry, I wasn't.
I mean, I'm happy to have been here today because I feel like I've learned a lot. I really appreciate that.
Well, we do want to invite you back to talk about the other project, the expansion. That's what I thought you were here for originally.
We'll come back.
Thank you. Okay.
Is there more on the agenda?
No, you want more? More? Here again.
Okay, so I think what makes sense before we leave right now is one, I like the idea of a letter to request no additional answered requests from EDC. That makes sense to me. Two, I think that youth and education needs to come up with some type of mandate for community access as discussed before that we will share with the rest of the board. And I think moving forward, the board needs to, and that'll be the precedent that we set for partnerships that we have, right? Don't come in here unless you already know somebody. And then three, my third one was that we actually have someone from Central PR right here. And I think that they are a great point of contact because you guys do excellent social media work, especially for your educational social media posts. This is a Puerto Rican neighborhood. It makes a lot of sense for us to start with some posting with you. And then also with connecting with various, what is that word I'm looking for? Sorry, it's getting late, guys. Activist groups in East Harlem, because it's you guys and then there's a couple more that we could potentially connect with.
All right,
Can I add
can I
something
just,
to-
I need to say something quickly.
Okay.
So Central PR, I did contact your person, I appreciate you being here. It was, and what was communicated to them, and I appreciate you still being here despite this, is I wanna make sure that whoever comes to present has adequate time to come to present. I knew that this was something that we were gonna take a while to deal with today. And also with the budget, so they will be coming back next month. They need
I
a,
didn't bring you to present. I was saying for them to do a post.
oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I didn't mean it,
No, it's okay.
didn't understand.
It's okay.
Okay, so what I was saying again, we're a community board, and what we're doing here has to be connected with land use. Because when
That's
people,
what I figured.
no, we gotta think about what we're doing, because we're talking about the community board, this issue came to community board 11 through it came to community board 11 through the youth and education committee. That's how it was tabled, but this is about land use.
It is,
All
okay.
right, so, whatever we do, we gotta connect everything. So whatever we propose, it has to be in different motions.
I like that.
Do one,
I like that what Jessica said.
yes, I'm just saying, but where we're leading to, I'm saying it's something that we can't say what we're gonna do representing the entire community. This is what we gotta table something that starts a movement to other actions that affects public safety, because it's a public safety issue that we didn't talk about, because different population clash. When I'm saying this as a serious joke, y'all trying to take lunch money from us, lunch, because there's gonna be a lot of robberies, gonna be a lot of assaults, gonna be a lot of other things. All right, you gotta think about it. So it's a major public safety issue. We talking about the transportation, there's buses, transportation, safety issues. So there are more things that are involved in this than we actually discussing, right? Every day, forever.
I think that we should, so we've asked them, right, what are they willing to do for us? Well, why don't we think about what we want?
Yes.
Okay, so instead of going with more asks, we'll go with our demands, right? So let's think about that, not tonight, and we'll make a list of, and then let's see what they say to what we present. And then the other committees can address the other issues. I will inform the ones that need to talk.
What I would also suggest, Asher, is that, that we work together on this, but then maybe we set up a task force within the committee so that we're working on this, not in this meeting. Because we really need to devote the time to brainstorm, to process things, to research. We don't get those things done here like that.
But we don't even reach a quorum.
No, you don't have to reach a point that we're having.
I can make a task force and go wherever I want.
Right, it's not a committee meeting. And it only becomes a problem when you have more than half of the quorum of the committee, because then it becomes an official meeting.
I see.
So not everybody has to be there every time. It could be a smaller group that brainstorms and works, and this is how we've done things in committees all the time. Because you can't get it done here. I mean, you saw you trying to agree on the budget needs, these poor people really never got on.
Should have,
No, I mean,
moved the agenda.
Well, so-
No, we don't. We gotta do our business when we do our business.
A major first step also, I guess, needs to be making that connection for what for housing, because, like, that's actually seriously dangerous.
We have our
housing chairs right over there.
Housing
chair.
Oh,
We bring everyone.
but that's housing?
I'm coming to you, Jen.
Two things. I think
I thought it was public.
during this conversation, we should remember that they flat out told us they chose the community because it was cheap and they could afford it. So we were never under the pretenses that they wanted to do anything more than find a cheap place to build a building. And also I like the idea, I can, but I don't feel like I need to be the one, brings us to public safety, because I feel like we can talk about, I feel like we would talk a lot about like the public safety for maybe the girls that are coming into the community, but I'm more concerned for
Our kids.
our
kids. No, I'm saying
On
our
how
kids,
they may be in.
the things that's gonna
what
happen.
happens when the police
The
are
way
getting called because
that's what I'm
they're-
saying, whatever happens, the police are gonna be called, and our kids gonna be impacted.
Yeah.
Because they decided they saw somebody walking
Yeah, I
around,
wouldn't-
they needed
It's the
that
same
watch.
thing when you have a pit bull. If there's a dog fight, it's always the pit bull's fault.
I wouldn't give in to the narrative, and we've been saying that too much tonight. They may think what they think about this community, but the truth is, those girls are not gonna be in danger coming into this community.
Right.
It's like Jen said,
Yeah, I think everyone here agrees with that. I just wanted to like,
well, I don't know,
Make sure
I
we're
feel like
clearly
I
communicating.
don't feel like it was said clearly.
Yeah.
If I was watching the meeting, I heard things that would have made it sound like they should be careful when they come here.
Right.
And I think they also said that they picked this space because they could walk.
Yes.
That
They
was on the
can't,
record.
but they
They
can't
said
walk.
we could walk.
They're not walking.
That's why they picked it.
What kid at that age walks?
But that's why they won.
Down Park, from 92nd
Second
to
Street, they
100.
never
Work
walk.
out,
They
so-
never walk.
All right, so before we all just, the consensus is, right? We will work on alternatives. We're going to follow up in the different committees, right? We're gonna develop a task force to work on the asks. I know you wanna be on that.
I was already on it. Sure.
Anything else? We wanna
wait.
thank our community members. the
So we're not
CBO
gonna do,
community.
wait, so we're not gonna
No,
do
we're gonna, again, we're gonna make a motion, somebody make a motion.
that? Go ahead. Go ahead, Glenn. You got this.
I'm gonna need some help verbalizing this, but a motion to request, what is, no
A
additional.
letter from
EDC.
Go ahead, a letter from EDC?
Two.
A letter to,
Two EDC.
so we would be producing that request,
We would
right?
produce a
Motion to
letter
produce a letter to EDC,
asking them
asking them to
not
halt
to
any requests from, what's this place called, Nightingale, moving
Any
forward.
and nowhere.
Can we say until we get this sorted out? I can't say that in a motion.
No, but just the majority of the language is there. Until they come to negotiate in good faith.
Oh, that's good.
Re-say it so that it's clear and then we can.
So is that realistic? A calm Instagram post? No, I know
Wait,
it's.
let us decide on the thing, let us decide on the motion before you figure out how you're gonna say
So
it.
Jen's motion, do you wanna
A
repeat it?
motion to EDC requesting
A letter.
a letter
Informing Nightingale.
informing Nightingale. Okay,
Then we read it.
that they will consider no additional requests until they.
EDC, not to Nightingale, to EDC.
The letters to EDC requesting that they do not approve any further requests from Nightingale until they come before the board and meet their obligations set forth in the community agreement.
ChatGPT right here for you.
You can vote on the concept of the letter and then you can flesh out. Remember, because you're gonna give the staff bullets and the staff can formulate it and.
Right, the board won't approve this until we have the letter, so we have to have the letter to the
Well,
board
that's what I'm
on
saying,
Tuesday.
the full board is next Tuesday, so.
Right.
But
So
what I'm
it
saying
needs to
is
be
like,
done
right now, you don't have to necessarily get every dot and T and like give the concept, the staff will give it. And
Yeah,
they'll
it just has to
circulate
be
it to
clear.
your
Jennifer's
committee.
right, so we're gonna have
And by
Jennifer
full
read
board,
it again.
Motion to write a letter to EDC requesting that they do not consider any further requests from Nightingale until they come in good faith to negotiate with the committee.
Yeah.
To
I
negotiate
like
with the
that.
committee on the community, what is it?
Shared
agreement.
The shared
On-
agreement.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
Facility sharing
So
agreement.
Is there a second?
Wait, just
I
read it
second
one more
that.
time, cause I wanna make sure that,
To this committee.
I just wanna make sure that it's clear for the record what exactly everyone's voting on. Cause it's just to avoid anyone saying that they don't know later on, cause I already was hearing that they had last month about our letter support, they ended up having information, so make sure stuff is clear.
I would like to motion to write a letter to EDC requesting that they do not consider any further requests from Nightingale until they come in good faith to negotiate with the Youth and Education Committee on the community shared agreement.
Facility sharing agreement,
Community shared
or
facility.
community facility sharing agreement, there you go.
Is-
Should it be, should the request be for funding? 'Cause- or-
I think any request from EDC, just keep it broad.
Yeah.
The letter might be demanding.
Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah, the second, so the chair
Demand instead of
needs a
request.
vote.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so
You have to change request to.
where's the,
Here a second, not me, I'm not on this committee.
Oh, change request demands, period.
A motion to write a letter to
Motion.
EDC demanding they do not consider any further requests from Nightingale until they come in good faith to negotiate with the Youth and Education Committee on the community facility shared agreement.
No more requests.
Yeah, that's,
The language has to change.
should it be just youth and education or the full board?
Let's start
we
with
just
you.
say community board 11. Say
No,
community
they
board
need,
11.
yeah, but they need to stop dodging us too. Come back here.
I know, but community board 11 is the whole
Right,
body.
it's the whole
They can
thing,
vote
it's the
for
whole
safety,
body.
for the parking.
Right, but if we're taking it out of the committees, it becomes the whole body.
Okay, but again, if they gotta come, they're not gonna come to the full board meeting to meet the
No,
whole board,
they
they're
won't
gonna
want
come
to
back to
meet the
this committee.
Right, We need to write with it.
This is the starting line, this is the starting line.
Okay, well, there's a motion on the floor.
And there's a second, can
Second.
somebody?
Motion made by Jennifer, second by Kiera. All in favor?
No, call out for this one. Call
Call
out to
roll?
make sure we're covered.
All right, but I'm not supposed to go roll, am I?
Who's call?
Marlene?
Alright, let me see if I find the rule. Anybody know the rule?
I got it on my phone, hold on. Or,
I got it.
I got it, alright.
Tomorrow morning?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I'm gonna beat you. Okay, I got it. Fernando Alvarez.
You want tomorrow?
Yes.
David Giordano.
Yes.
I'm just making sure it gets small. Whose last name is
Tomorrow
Jerez?
evening, why not?
Hold on,
Kira, is that
we're
Kira?
calling the vote, we're calling the vote.
Sorry, yes,
Kira? Jerez Austin?
but I seconded it, so do it count?
You still have to vote.
Okay.
Yes. James Kemp, James Kemp absent.
Third event.
We're calling the
Russell.
vote.
Yes.
It's a vote. I'm not calling you yet, you just distracted me already.
No.
Malik.
Yes.
Hello. Jennifer Mayer.
Yes.
Jessica Moore still on this?
Excuse me.
Not here.
Not here. Hayward Moulton, I think he's been
No,
removed.
left the board. Tanya.
Tanya Phelps.
Yes.
Ash Rodriguez.
Yes.
Wow. Isaac Scott's no longer here. Russell Schuler.
Yes.
Loretta Sub.
Yeah, as you want to see.
Then the ayes have it.
Nah.
Okay.
But you do have to make sure that you send to Marlene your language,
Yeah.
so they can.
Because this will have to turn on, I have to be quick for full board, right?
On lunch
So
break
you gotta do it tomorrow.
All right, so with that said, again, I want to thank everybody for coming and bearing with this. Sorry it took so long, but again, we thank you for coming, and we thank you for coming as well. I'm sure we will continue to meet together as we go through this process. Is there any new business?
No.
I gotta ask.
So next month is.
Next one, yeah, you-
Yes.
Oh, I can't see because the board members are standing in the way.
Russell, sit please, we're not done, sorry. Thank you.
This poor man, we throw him on the last of every committee.
It's all good. So I'm gonna take 40 seconds of your time. My name is Mark Anthony Guadra from the Center for Puerto Rican Studies. And what I do is I'm in charge of internships, scholarships, and assistant for the Partnership and Outreach Department. And we want to further our partnership with Community Board 11, including space access, working on how stuff can be solved. Things like that will be discussed maybe more in, efficient timing. In terms of our space here, we love to be open to discussion. And from this one, I offer that right now. If anyone wants my contact information or from there, I'll be here until you guys officially leave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
And we need to have you come and do a more formal presentation.
I already put down for next month, send in them.
And we need an infographic on Instagram about Nightingale.
Oh my god.
Okay, with that said, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Roll call. Alright, we're gonna do roll call. Fernando Alvarez. Present. David Giordano.
Present.
John Green. Kira Jerez Austin.
Present.
James Kemp. Absent. Malik McCullum.
Present.
Jennifer Meyer.
Present.
Jessica Morris.
Excuse.
Hayward, no, he's gone. Tanya Phelps.
Present.
Asher Rodriguez.
Present.
Russell Schuler.
Present.
Loretta Sub.
Present.
Alright, this meeting was adjourned at 9:58 p.m.
But I get for complaining about 9:30.
We took some hours off. Obligation.
That's what I
We
get.
took hours off
Wait,
the
we're still
obligation.
going.
Oh, okay.
We're still going.
Jesus.
Tomorrow. What's the address for Tito Point? It's between Second and Third.
Second and Third and what street?
109th.